Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to the Monday Night Racing Season 6 playoffs. The second round, I guess this is the round of 8, is about to kick off tonight at Pocono Raceway. My name is Eric Estep. I am your host here on the YouTube side of things. Thank you all for tuning in early to the pre-race show. Green flag is scheduled to fly just past the top of the hour, but you're here early, which means you guys get to kind of get the lowdown on what's going on, where we're at in the playoffs. If you're new to Monday Night Racing, who the key players are. This is the first race of the round of 8. If you missed round 1, if you missed the races at Richmond, Daytona, last week it was Watkins Glen with Sage Karam getting the win. Not a playoff driver, but still a dominant performance. And then you've missed a lot. But we'll be able to catch you up here real quick. There are 8 drivers still alive, still vying for the highly coveted Season 6 title. Presley Sora, the defending champion, currently leads the standings. The points all, of course, just reset. Adam Cabot, Chase Cabrey, Corey Heim currently hold the 4 transfer spots. Technically a tie for the final spot between Heim, Leighton Sabile, and Joey Padgett. Ryan Vargas and Matt Stallnick were both able to squeak their way into this second round through gritty performances at Watkins Glen last week. And it's great to see all of you. I'm looking at the chat right now, seeing a lot of familiar faces. In just a moment, we'll actually get to talk to one of those playoff drivers, but I'm excited. It's Pocono Raceway. I got to visit Pocono in real life for the first time this year. It's a wonderful facility. I think I finally understood the hype. So many fans for years, when I'd maybe say something not so great about the racing at Pocono, they'd come at me and say, like, well, you got to see it for yourself. You'll see it from a completely different point of view. You'll appreciate it. And I agree. Pocono Raceway is a beautiful racetrack. And I think tonight with the next gen cars, it's going to put on a fantastic show. Before we bring in the broadcast booth, though, I just promised you guys we were going to talk to a Monday Night Racing playoff driver, and I believe he's in here now. Ryan Vargas, do you got a copy?
Hello. How are we?
I'm doing great. I can't speak for everybody, but I'm doing pretty well. I hope you're doing well as well. I saw just before we went green tonight, before you started streaming yourself, that you announced a new sponsor tonight that's on your car. What can you tell us about that? That's pretty cool.
Yeah, FFO is a good partner of both Critical Path Security and myself now through the e-racing stuff. So that's been a lot of fun. Always cool to welcome new people to the sport, whether it be virtual or in real life. So FFO for wealth and family management. I highly recommend you guys check them out. They're, like I mentioned, very good partner of Critical Path Security, one of my main partners. So so those watching, check them out. Give them some love for supporting myself and supporting racing at this level. It's pretty cool.
Absolutely. And speaking of racing at this level, you have made it to the round of 8 of the Monday Night Racing Season 6 playoffs. You kind of squeaked through in that last race at Watkins Glen, but you're here. So how do you approach this round? Only 2 races, so you got to be at your best immediately, right?
Yeah, I mean, this season is going very similar to last season, albeit a lot less smooth. Just I went into this season with the idea of top 10ing myself through the playoffs, but as the playoffs grew closer, I just kept getting wrecked. And so it was just a matter of finishing races, it seemed to be. And Watkins Glen was no different. We got turned on the first lap by a little bit of aggressive driving / net code, and then survived the race. So I'm excited for tonight. A little bit more my wheelhouse. We're doing oval, I guess you could say triangle racing. But my FFO Critical Path Security Chevy looks pretty good.
Awesome stuff. Yes. And speaking of triangle racing, Pocono, what's it going to take to be great there tonight? What's the secret? If there is a secret, how do you feel about your chances of maybe getting a win tonight and locking yourself into that championship 4?
Man, Corey Heim and Chase Cabrey are both very fast tonight. I'm third on the board right now. It's really just going to come down to being smart and being there at the end. I think, if we could play our strategy right, play, tire and fuel, or maybe catch a good caution, maybe we can luck ourselves a pretty decent, top 3 run. But really, like I mentioned before, it's just all about being there at the end. When that checkered flag falls, you want to be in contention.
Absolutely. Well, Ryan, we've got a lot of fans of yours here in the YouTube chat, so they'll be cheering you on. And I just got word you'll be our Toughco Flooring in-race reporter tonight as well. So hopefully we'll get to talk to you during the race. Hopefully things are going well for you. But thanks for joining us on the pre-race show, Ryan, and good luck tonight at Pocono.
Thank you, guys.
Ryan, before you leave, I got a quick question for you.
Oh, God. Okay, what's up?
Well, first off, you're my pick, so just want to throw that out there. Second, how many turns does Pocono have?
5 turns. 5 turns
Oh.
Pocono has.
For the love of
No.
Come on,
here's my
Vargas.
example. Here's my
Come
example,
on.
right? So turn 1 and 2, turn 1 and 2 at Pocono is based off of turn 1 and 2 at Trenton? What is it? I can't remember the track. It's based off of turn 1 and 2 somewhere. I don't know where. And then the tunnel turn is based off of one individual corner of Indianapolis. One individual corner of the 4.
Okay.
That makes it 1 turn. And then the final corner, or turns 4 and 5, is based off of turns 1 and 2. And that's at Trenton, right? I can't remember. But I know the corners are based off of turn 3 is based off of 2, turn 1 is based off of 2, and then the tunnel turn is based off of 1, which equals 5.
I think that makes sense. So are we racing at a Pentagon tonight? Should we just nickname Pocono the Pentagon?
Yeah, yeah, we're racing at the Pentagon tonight.
My geometry is not too great. Well, thank you for joining us, Ryan. With that being said, you guys just heard from them a moment ago, but I guess we can bring in the broadcast booth. Blake McCandless, Jacob Hitz, and Kenneth Bueno calling the action tonight. Blake, what's going on with you this evening?
Well, other than interrupting your interviews, Eric, we have a lot of fun planned for you here tonight as we embark upon the Pocono Raceway for tonight's Monday Night Racing Pro Series presented by Interstate Batteries race of yet another round of this Season 6 playoffs. I'm Blake McCandless along with Kenneth Bueno and Jacob Hitz, and we may not agree on how many turns there are here, Kenneth, but one thing is certain, Pocono is going to be a tough challenge for these guys tonight.
Lord, I am on the 3-turn gang, by the way. I do not want to get into any more debates about how many turns Pocono has, but this round and this race in specific, Blake, is going to be so very important to the drivers in the playoffs. And I'd argue that this round of 8, is going to be the most pivotal, probably more than the championship race at Homestead in a couple of weeks. You only have 2 races to fully execute. The pressure is under these drivers, a lot of them being rookies, in fact. So these 2 races, very interesting tracks in Pocono and Chicagoland, and different combos at stake. You're going to really have to put your 150% if you want to make it to that championship round. This is the first step of probably many that will be taken by each and every playoff driver, and that means, Blake, that we're going to be in for a show. That's for sure.
We're going to be in for a real show, and Jacob, I think what gets really interesting when you look at pit road and you just look at Pocono in general, if you look at racing history here, this racetrack always has a tendency to have races that play out by strategy, and that is going to be something that is weighing pretty heavily on these drivers' minds.
Strategy is definitely going to be a big part of the race tonight, I would think. There have been times where we go into an M&R race and think we're going to have a lot of strategy on pit road, and then we get some predictable cautions that kind of take all that strategy out the window. But we've got a long race tonight. 80 laps, 200 miles. That's half the distance that they run on the Cup Series side here. So it's going to be a grueling race for these drivers as far as trying to keep the tires underneath them, trying to save enough fuel. And the calculators, Blake, they're going to be smoking all night long on the virtual pit boxes, trying to figure out how long they can make it on fuel, how far they can stretch it. And if we can get a long green flag run or 2 in tonight, I think that could open up the window for some drivers to take a shot and try and pull some strategy, especially those in the playoff picture that are just trying to find a way to get points any way they can.
Well, speaking of the playoff picture, let's take a look at what transpired. Of course, everything that happened at Watkins Glen, we ran the Porsches at the boot. A lot happened to get the 4 drivers out of the playoffs that you see at the bottom left-hand side of your screen right there. Garrett Smithley, David Schildhaus, Nick Olson, and Colin Fern. Leaves us with these 8, Kenneth.
Yeah, and last week at Watkins Glen was very stressful for a lot of the drivers, including Matt Stolnick, who was looked to be out of the race at the end, and all of a sudden, things found to turn his way. He's in the playoffs here for the round of 8. He gets to survive another 2 races before going to Homestead of Miami Speedway. But the one thing I noticed here, Blake, is the fact that we still have a lot of rookies in this playoff hunt. Corey Heim, Chase Cabry, Joey Padgett, in their first full-time effort in Monday Night Racing, are all still very contentious, running for the championship And then you have guys like Presley Sora, a lot of weight on his shoulders to defend his crown. Adam Cabot, who's been to the championship for so many times and got eliminated in this round last season. And then you've got guys like Lane Sabile, Vargas, and Matt Stolnick who can come out of nowhere and provide heavy punches. This is a very stout playoff field. And with these two oval races on tap, these guys are very good at these types of tracks and combos. It's going to be very competitive.
It certainly is. And Jacob, when you think about the fact 2 races, and when you look at the quality of drivers that we eliminated in round 1, this reminds me of an open convention almost. It is just a wide open race, I think, in terms of who we're looking at to be the championship 4 in 2 weeks' time.
It's really a mixed bag. You know, there are, I'd say all 8 of them really have a decent chance to make it. It just depends on where everything shakes out. You know, Presley Sora coming in as defending champ. Adam Cabot, he has a championship under his belt from 2 seasons ago. Both drivers seem to be on the cusp of making it to the championship 4. Chase Cabry and Joey Padgett, the 2 rookies that have been stellar all season long. Add Corey Heim into that list as well, at least full-time. Leighton Sabile has been strong down the stretch. He could make a run at it here, depending on what happens at Chicagoland next week. And then you have Vargas and Stolnick. I think they're really the 2 outliers. Vargas, you know, struggled to keep the car clean coming down the stretch toward the playoffs. He was able to knock that off, though, and put together some decent races. Watkins Glen was a little adventurous, to say the least, but he was able to get it done. Matt Stolnick, we know he had a rough go of it at Watkins Glen last week. All he needs, 2 races. 2 solid races, 1 tonight, 1 next week at Chicagoland. And Chicagoland, very familiar amongst the MNR crowd. And Matt Stolnick could be able to point or even win his way in to the championship 4.
Very interesting indeed. We'll see how it all shakes out as we take a look here at the Tricky Triangle, Kenneth.
Well, this track is very tricky. Pocono Raceway opened back in 1971 and was really known for IndyCar racing before the NASCAR cars finally started coming here, and ever since it has provided a great show of strategy and of great racing to the start-finish line. This track located in Long Pond, Pennsylvania, 2.5 miles, or sort of the same length as Daytona International Speedway, but it is a triangle. In fact, 4.023 kilometers, and then you've got each and every turn. It's kind of like a 3-headed beast. 14 degrees in turn 1 based off Trenton Speedway, 8 degrees in turn 2 based off Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and then 6 degrees in turn 3 based off the Milwaukee Mile. So you have 3 different challenges for each part of this track. Blake, you can master 1 or 2 of these corners and you'll still have trouble at another part. It is so difficult to drive.
Hard to get all of them dialed in exactly the way that you want it, but that's what makes racing here at Pocono so unique and so interesting. And by the way, this is the 2nd iteration of Pocono Raceway that has been released on the iRacing service. One was scanned back in 2009. This one, obviously, when they repaved this place, they did so in iRacing as well. And that is the version of the racetrack that we will be racing on tonight. So when we get back, we are getting ready to tackle Pocono here in the Monday Night Racing Pro Series presented by Interstate Batteries. As you can look on the left-hand side of your screen, you can see our grid rival matchups for tonight. Always had a lot of fun trying to decipher out the matchups and what have you. I'm interested to see, though, who the overall favorite is for this race. We have a lot of different drivers, a lot of different competitors who could potentially find themselves at the top of the board. Of course, you want to participate with Grid Rival. You can download it on the App Store as well as Google Play if you're on an Android device. And it looks like Adam Cabot and Chase Cabry, along with Corey Heim and Presley Sora, all tied at the top of the board in terms of the overall odds. You can see their rating all the way on the right-hand part of your screen. But when we come back, we are set to dial things up and fire off the engines here tonight at Pocono Raceway for the Out of the Groove 200. Don't go away.
FrontStretch.com, providing up-to-date news, analysis, and commentary on all the latest in the world of motorsports. Check out Front Stretch YouTube page for post-race content after the checker flag waves for most NASCAR events, giving you up-close interviews with your favorite drivers and the stories that matter each weekend. For the best seat of the track and the best view on the web, visit FrontStretch.com.
This is an Interstate battery. More pros trust this than any other out there. Yeah, more pros. More. Even more pros. Keep going, Moss. Look, we're gonna run out of time before we run out of pros who like Interstate. I mean, we'll run out of time before we even run out of left-handed pros who knit. These pros are everywhere, which means so is this battery. Right around the corner, up the street, everywhere. Interstate batteries, outrageously dependable.
Visit our website at toughgoflooring.com.
Get the edge on your competition with P8 Performance Gummies. Formulated specifically for gamers and the esports industry, we packed our gummies with all the good stuff, including ingredients that are clinically proven to help tired eyes, improve reaction times, and help suppress computer vision syndrome. Take your focus and endurance to the next level and try P8 Gummies today. Now available at Procelerate.com. Plus, if you're mad about gaming, we're looking to partner with influencers just like you. Drop us a line at support at Procelerate.com to see if you qualify to try our gummies for free. It's officially game on with all new P8 gummies.
Back with you here from Pocono Raceway for Season 6 of the Monday Night Racing Pro Series presented by Interstate Batteries. Again, it's the running of the Out of the Groove 200 at Pocono. Of course, we have a lot of fans out there who are watching tonight on that YouTube channel with Eric Eastep. We appreciate him partnering with us for the playoffs once again here in Monday Night Racing, and we hope that you enjoy the racing that these drivers will put on for you tonight. A little bit delayed than what we usually are. It was the Xfinity test going a little bit long at Charlotte Motor Speedway earlier today, the NASCAR Xfinity Series. And you think about everybody that's in this league, a couple of conflicts, at least with that test, forced us to delay this by about roughly an hour or so. But once we drop the green flag, it is the same as if we were rolling off at 8 p.m. Eastern time. Let's go ahead and take a look at our picks for tonight. You already heard from mine a little bit earlier in Ryan Vargas, but it looks like we are pretty heavy on at least what would be, according to Grid Rival, our favorite for tonight. Kenneth, I'll give you first dibs on Chase Cabre.
Well, Eric and I have got the same pick. We've got the same mindset in terms of this race. Chase Cabre is one of the most consistent drivers and one of the strongest when it comes to any type of combo, most notably these oval races. I think back to a tricky oval combo we had earlier in the campaign, Twin Ring Motegi with the ARCA car. Chase Cabre dominated the last half of that race and just ran away with it. So I'm expecting him to do the same, thing he did at Richmond to start off the initial round of 12, get to victory lane, lock himself in the championship 4.
Absolutely. Well, I can really just second everything you said, but you mentioned consistency. If just besides the ovals, we've run at a couple different types of ovals and a road course in these playoffs already, and Cabre's finishes are incredible. First, seventh, and second. It doesn't get a whole lot better than that. So I feel like maybe it's beginner's luck. He's contending for the Monday Night Racing championship for the first time ever, but boy, luck and momentum is sure on his side so far.
It has been as of recent. And Jacob, you got the Legends driver out of Tallahassee, Florida, Joey Padgett, had some sneaky runs as of late.
Yeah, sorry, gentlemen, you picked the wrong rookie this year to win tonight in Chase Cabry. I'm going with Joey Padgett. He has the speed. He's had the consistency all season long. Driver number 83 punches his ticket. He's going to Homestead. He wins at Pocono.
And again, I think we heard from him earlier. We may not agree on about how many turns there are at this racetrack, but I think Ryan Vargas has something up his sleeve for tonight, especially on how he nearly left the playoffs last week. I think he's got something to say and wants to lock his way into the championship 4 in 2 weeks' time and not have to worry about next week and just be able to chill out and wait before we get things going. It looks like qualifying has just wrapped up here at Pocono Raceway, as we will get a look at our BST Shock starting grid. And as he has many times this season, Corey Heim starting up front, and the winner of your Roasted Gems Coffee Pole Award, 54.666 seconds for the driver of the 51 EPI Toyota. He goes off from first, and DJ Cummings will roll off from the second position. Starting in third tonight will be car number 5. That is Bailey Turner. Alongside him will be Reed Wilson in the number 66 machine. Defending champion and looking to get back to the championship 4 this season, Presley Sora will start in 5th, with Ryan Vargas. He'll roll off from the 6th position tonight. Connor Berry starts in 7th, the O2 machine. Adam Cabot, a champion of 2 seasons ago, will roll off 8th. Colin Fern, eliminated from the playoffs last week, starts 9th, but is a threat to win tonight, along with Gary Sexton, who starts in 10th.
In row number 6, you will find a pair of playoff drivers, starting with Lane Sabile in the 25 out of Hog Tamers, the team, and Joyride, represented by Joey Padgett on the outside in P12. Ronnie Osmer, after a strong run at Watkins Glen a week ago, he starts 13th. David Schildhouse in the number 20, he's on the outside in P14. Robbie Lyons, the driver out of Seminole, Florida, Season 3 champion, is inside the top 15 when we get the green from Pocono. Joshua Slate will be on the outside in P16. That's row number 8, before you find the final 2 drivers in row number 1, or rather the final 4 drivers to your top 20. Nick Olson, Matt Stolnick. Stolnick dead last in the playoff picture coming into tonight's event. Then the final 2 in the top 20, 19th and 20th. Glendale, Arizona's Devin Henry in the 77, and Justin Malillo out of FTF Drivers Club.
Ford Martin will roll off from the 21st starting position. Chase Capri from 22nd. Brandon Brown and Jordan Buster back here in row number 12. They'll roll off 23rd and 24th. Sage Karam, the 2-time winner this season. Steve Lafont lining up to the outside for Karam. Hometown track for him, or at least home state track for him. James Bickford, Max Kennan, a couple of former playoff drivers back here in row number 14. Michael Massey and Stephen Ellis rounding out the top 30.
Going 31st is Chris Weaver, followed by Michael Fisher in 32nd. Last driver to take time tonight was Mark Rabillis, who will start in 33rd. And 3 more drivers elected not to put down a time in qualifying tonight. That is George Belfans, who starts 34th, Brett Baldeck from 35th, and Case Collenbach, who was a little bit busier earlier today at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, will start in the 36th position tonight. So 36 cars set for 80 laps, Eric, around this Pocono Raceway. We've had a pretty hectic playoff so far. I think Pocono has the ability to be somewhat of a calming race, but with just 2 races left until the Championship 4, I don't know if we can say that for certain.
Yeah, I mean, you just said it. You had 3 races in that first round. Not a ton of room for error, but you could have an off day. It's the round of 12, but now you're in the round of 8. We're going to whittle this down from 8 to 4 next week. So there's really no time to waste, and I think this is going to be shaping up to be an exciting race. We heard Ryan Vargas mention Chase Cabry's speed. He's the deepest starting playoff driver in this field, so I think that's going to be a lot of fun to watch, especially in this first half.
Saw the weather scroll across your screen. It is 3 p.m. in sim. 90 degrees ambient temperature makes for a 120-degree track. And one of the other capabilities in the sim, the sun is not going to move. We're going to freeze time in this one. As working off of turn number 3, the pace car will dive to the safety of the pit lane, and the field will fall into the hands of Corey Heim, who gets us underway here at Pocono. Things have settled out front, but they were looking 3 wide, and in fact they were 3 wide back in the pack around the 7th position. But here comes DJ Cummings down to the inside of Corey Heim, looking to take the lead into turn number 1.
Not only 3 wide, Blake, but 3 wide, roughly 2 rows deep. And you're right, the 10 of Cummings already looking to strike on Heim at the exit of turn 1. Looks like the outside might be too strong for the 10 to overcome. He'll fall in line with Reed Wilson. They'll take you to turn 2, and Jacob hits.
Top 3 pulling away. Presley Sora sits in 4th. He's the middleman between their top 3 and the rest of the pack. That second pack led by Bailey Turner is now Cummings. Bounces off the wall off turn 2. He checks up. Sora gets by. Turner gets by. Sora lost time checking up for the 10 coming off the wall. And DJ Cummings going to lose half a dozen spots on the bottom of the racetrack. He falls back to almost outside the top 10.
Oh, and a big slide in reaction to that was from the 0-2 of Connor Berry. He's going to lose a couple of spots as they look nearly 4 wide here on the front straightaway. Berry losing spots. Ronnie Osmer is able to take advantage of that, but they just gather it up off of turn 3.
And look at the trio on the inside line getting away from all the madness. Matt Stolnick, the 41, the 83 of Joey Padgett, the 39 of Chase Cabre. This is a situation, Blake, that you do not want to be in. You want to tippy-toe on these first opening laps because the last thing you want is your race ruined by traffic in front of you. Here comes Padgett to the inside of the 41 for P12.
Padgett, a driver that's looking to dig himself out of a hole from where he qualified here today and get himself in a good points-paying spot. Of course, Stolnick in the same boat. Once again, Padgett looks to the inside. Stolnick shuts the door. He looks over the 0-2 of Connor Berry, but falls in line.
And Joey Padgett going to work off of turn number 3. You see Chase Cabre back there as well. A lackluster qualifying effort that we're not used to seeing out of car 39 as he sits back here in the 15th position, up 7 spots since the drop of the green flag, but now looking at Colin Fern directly ahead.
You're looking at turn 1, Cabre. You're going to follow single file. You see a couple of drivers side by side, one of them being Gary Sexton. We talked about Cummings hitting the outside wall roughly at a turn 2. Looks like that battle immediately going to settle, but look at the things happening up front. They are 3 wide for position number 3. Sora, Sabile, and Turner to turn 2.
Bailey Turner wise to back out of it. Now wheel to wheel for third place. Meanwhile, car in the wall behind him. Connor Berry off the pace. He's going to lose almost a dozen spots off the corner. You ride on board with the 17 of Adam Cabot right in the thick of it. Sora and Sabile wheel to wheel off turn 3.
This is the battle right here. It's for the number 3 position. Leighton Sabile getting it done on the top side is going to pass 2 race cars, including the defending champion and Presley Sora, as he dives low to break the draft. Now Sora once again under attack from Bailey Turner as they head to turn 1.
And we've seen the 5 of Turner and the 17 of Cabot Blake work so fluently together. They were on the same team last season. It looks like that friendship still hasn't really fizzled out. Sora struggling on the inside of turn 1. He'll get a shot to the back from the 17 of Cabot. They'll snake trail down the back straightaway, all the while letting Corey Heim and Reed Wilson run away. They're up by more than a second.
Gone, in fact, the top 2 more than a second and a half in front of Leighton Sabile. He leads the train around in the 3rd spot. Turner behind him, then Cabot, then Sora. Press Ryan Vargas, rather, in the thick of that as well. DJ Cummings rebounded. A little damage to the right front, but he sits P8. Then it's Sexton and Stolnick, their top 10.
Nearly 5 circuits done. In fact, it will be here in the Pocono Mountains. Battle is on right now for third as they try to chase down your top 2 in Corey Heim and Reed Wilson. Here comes Bailey Turner back down to the bottom side of the racetrack looking for position number 3.
And remember, think about your top 5 right now. Reed Wilson, Bailey Turner in that mix. None of those guys playoff drivers in a sea of green banners. So you think about how these drivers are going to race each other just because there's a factor of not racing for the championship with the 5 and the 66. Here comes Leighton Sabile back for the charge for third in turn 2.
And we know the playoff drivers and the non-playoff drivers may find some discourse throughout the remainder of the season. We know David Schulthouse last week said he's not racing anybody any different just because he's outside of the playoffs and other drivers still have the green banners. Cabot now looks to go around the outside of Sabile as Sora looking to get by as well.
And a slide off the corner there on the bottom side of the racetrack was Leighton Sabile. Adam Cabot going to be able to take advantage and take the number 4 spot. Nearly contact on the front straightaway. Sabile trying to side draft the ever-living heck out of Adam Cabot in turn 1.
And Sabile is stuck right now in turn 1. Yes, he has the shorter way around the racetrack, but he is not in a draft train, and that's one thing you need, importantly, at a track like Pocono, so large, and with these next-gen cars that can gather such huge runs on the back bumper of somebody, you need to be single file. Sabile takes note of that. He goes inside. He's P6. Nice battle inside the top 10, though, behind them.
Yeah, that's Ronnie Osmer that I'm not sure if he slipped in turn 1 or what happened, but he was a little off the pace. He keeps the car rolling, though, now under some pressure from behind by Robbie Lyons, but the field makes their way now back to turn number 3, side by side for third. Cabot underneath Turner. He's got the position off the corner.
Yes, he does. Adam Cabot able to get just clear enough and avoid that side-by-side battle behind them. So Adam Cabot out of Glen Gardner, New Jersey, looking to try and become a 2-time champion here, will lead the field from the 3rd position into turn 1.
I saw one driver in the back get loose out of turn 3. That was the 29 at Bigford. Almost hit the outside wall and traveled down the racetrack. He keeps the car straight, so we'll stay green. Could have been our first big scare as of lap 8. There's a look on board with the Charlotte Phoenix number 29. Championship 4 driver from a season ago. Looks like he's already struggling with the rears in 8 laps time.
Here comes Ryan Vargas in that 26, new sponsor on the race car, trying to get by Presley Sawyer, defending champion. That's for position number 6. Vargas, wheel to wheel, headed to turn number 3, as the cars now in front of them starting to pull away a little bit. Stolnick stuck behind. Sawyer up the racetrack as Vargas misses the bottom of the corner.
Oh, you can see a slide out of Ryan Vargas. A lot of cars looking particularly loose down there in turn number 3 that we talked a little bit about earlier, being modeled after the Milwaukee Mile. But Matt Stolnick finds himself in a good position, riding right here in 7th.
And if we stay where we are, track tip of 121, Blake, you're really going to have to take care of those rears, and we're seeing a lot of aggressive driving. I'm not sure whether it's a case for track position or if it's just a case of trying to race each other, because the last thing you want to do is burn up your equipment. If we get in a long green flag run, here comes Chase Cabry to the inside of Ryan Vargas for P9.
And you know, Chase Cabry going to be aggressive early and often throughout this race, knowing that he has a shot to lock himself into the championship 4 here from Pocono. Now right to the back bumper of the 41 of Matt Stolnick. He looks to the outside in turn number 3, can't get it done. Vargas peeks underneath him. Cabry closes the door.
Cabry will keep that door shut. Meanwhile, back up front, it has been just 2 drivers who have managed to pull away from the rest of the field, and you can see it right there on your screen. Corey Heim has led every lap since the drop of the green flag here in the Out of the Groove 200. Reed Wilson has been right in line along with him, and Eric, I think these 2 have kind of seen all the battling going on behind them, and I think they like what they're seeing so far.
Absolutely. The view out of Corey Heim's windshield is the best on track right now. And speaking of that 51, a bunch of folks in the chat were debating the best paint schemes. Tornado, who's watched, I think, every race so far in these playoffs, he's been here every single stream, thinks that Corey Heim's got the best paint scheme on track. I threw out the beautiful purple Shaq Eyewear 98 car. I think that looks pretty great. But gentlemen, do you have a favorite paint scheme on track so far?
I got to tell you, at least the one paint scheme that's really caught my eye, and Corey Heim has certainly done that, but I'm looking at Tufco Flooring, Leighton Sabile, that number 25 car. There's something about just a simple stripe, the bright neon yellow numerals that are on that Chevrolet. I just really like it. It's simple, has a little bit of flair to it, though, so I don't know, guys. I'm looking at the 25 as one of my favorite paint schemes out here.
That's not bad. That's not bad. But I have full bias. Miami Vice. You have to go with Chase Caber. He's a Florida native. I'm a Florida native. I love the teal and pink whenever I see it out on a racetrack or really anywhere, as Caber goes to the inside of Stallneck, who washes up at a turn 2. But I love the Miami Vice colors. You can give it to me any day of the week, and I'll still treat it like it's brand new. I love it.
I will say I agree with Blake a little bit. When I saw the 25 from a distance where I'm at in turn number 3, I was like, who in the world is in that car? Oh, it's Leighton Sabile. There's some color on his race car. He's pretty much been in black, gray, and white most of the season. You know, Eric, I'm surprised you didn't pick Case Collenbach as your favorite car, considering your face is on it.
Wow, my name's also on the race. There he is. I'm trying to be humble here. I'm trying to keep a lower profile from it. Also, the Case had a great season, but right, he's bringing up the rear. Come on, Case, got to pick it up. Catch the draft.
Jacob, I think you're a letdown to all your fans in Philadelphia. You look at Gary Sexton's car. I can't believe you didn't pick that.
Oh,
wow.
Well, I missed it. Yeah, I was going to say, you know, I should pick an Eagles car if there was one out here. I just wasn't paying attention. But, hey, you know what? Chiefs probably won't see it coming either in 2 weeks' time. He's trying to make a pass right now. Oh, and he almost gets into Stallneck in turn number 3, washing up the racetrack. He's good for now, but a scare for a driver inside the playoffs.
Trying to throw Matt Stallneck into the wall like he's a San Francisco quarterback right now, as Gary Sexton will file into that 10th position. Ford Martin's just a little bit back up the road from this battle. He's trying to hold off Sage Karam and Joey Patchett into turn 1.
It's a nice battle inside this group, and you look at the 41, just how much he's struggled over the last couple of laps, has been washing up some corners, and you figure maybe that right front is a little worn out, and they're still battling deep within the top 15, and one of them is a playoff driver as well. Joey Padgett, the 83, and he's getting absolutely freight trained. David Childhouse and Ronnie Oscar on the outside.
You mentioned tire wear, Kenneth, and even though this track was just repaved back in 2012, this track still eats at tires. This track surface takes a beating in the wintertime. A lot of snow, a lot of ice, a lot of frozen conditions, that this racetrack is just about in the same state that it was back in 2011 when they repaved it. It's a cheese grater on these Goodyear.
It has been for a long time, and especially with these next-gen cars having to move around the racetrack and find a little bit of that clean air in the corners is a big part of trying to find speed here, but all single file up front.
And we saw Chase Caber make it 3 wide going into turn 3. Did a slide job on Presley Sora and Lane Sabile. Made it stick, and he's way loose out of turn 1. That was very scary for the 39 as he whips it sideways and tries to keep behind number 5 of Bailey Turner. But Caber has been on the move. I'm surprised his tires aren't as worn out as there are. 22nd to 5th.
17 spots. For those of you not wanting to do the math, that's how far he has gone. Oh man, Leighton Sabile washes out coming off turn number 2. Rear end kicks out off the corner, but he's okay. Right on board with the 39. You see the 98 out the back window. The 5 of Billy Turner out in front of him. That's Caber's next victim.
He'll set his sights on Bailey Turner right now, running in that 4th position. And, you know, not only, okay, you've seen your top 2, they've broken away by a little bit, but Cabot made a little bit of ground up these last couple laps on them.
And you know why, Blake? It's because they're single file. They've stopped battling, or at least it turned side of the top 4, because now they're battling for position inside 5th. That's Chase Caber, Presley Sora now going at it exit turn 1. But that's what you have to do. If you want to catch up, you need to be single file. You can't just keep switching positions, because it's only going to get worse for you at the end.
When you also have to wonder how much tire saving Heim and Wilson have done out at the front of this field, because they have absolutely pulled away from everybody else, probably not saving their stuff all that much. Otherwise, I think they'd be at least in the ballpark of the rest of your top 10. So maybe they've hit the wall as far as their tire life is concerned, and that's what's allowed Cabot to reel them in.
Cabot's done a solid job, though. Not a lot of drafting help with him, but a lot of clean air on the front nose of that number 17 machine. But further back, again, we have still had some amazing battles. Leighton Sabile trying to hold off Ryan Vargas into turn 1.
And Vargas really charging again. The new sponsor, the FFO machine here on the Chevrolet Camaro, raced it last week at Watkins Glen and re-upping for Pocono after his great finish and advancing into the round of 8 for the playoffs. It looks like everybody is single file. I think the first side-by-side battle might be for P9. Colin Fern picking to the inside of Stolnek, almost making contact.
And Colin Fern, another driver that I'm sure not going to race the playoff drivers any differently now that he's on the outside after the first round. And he takes advantage right there, blows by Matt Stolnek. Stolnek now is still up 8 spots from the drop of the green flag, but starting to slip a little bit in that 41.
He's starting to slip indeed. And speaking of slipping, there are drivers all over the place off of turn 3. Chase Cabry, Presley Sora, Leighton Sabile, a bunch of drivers kicking that car sideways at a very tough part of the racetrack. Here comes Sabile down to the inside of Presley Sora.
And just like last week, Blake, at the road courses where mistakes could take you out of the race or drop you a bunch of positions, it's the same way here. Because of how strong the draft is, you get a little bit slippery like that, like Sora did out of turn 3. All of a sudden, you're under fire by a couple of drivers behind you. Sora is able to escape for the moment. And that could be one of many if he continues to get a little uncareful.
And I know talking with Presley in past weeks about the playoffs, he said, I'm more worried about the guys that I'm racing taking me out than I am about myself taking me out. That's a rare mistake, I think, from driver number 98. Self-inflicted. Has to limit those, even though he's high atop in the standings. Has to be careful because the safety net he once had, pretty much gone.
It's starting to look that way. Here comes Chase Cabry down to the inside. This is for 4th. Cabry down several lanes from the number 5 machine just above him. Presley Sora trying to shove that car into turn 1, but here comes Cabry with the move.
And Cabry's going to dive deep on the brakes. He'll slide up the track. Will he give the opening for the 5? Yes, he will. Will Turner take it? He can't. Doesn't have enough momentum out of the first corner, so he'll stick to the back bumper of the Chevy Camaro. I think Turner has had enough of the battling. He wants to be single file. They want to catch up to Cabot. Cabot's already pulled away by roughly a second and a half.
Meanwhile, guys, back to Matt Stolnek. He is being freight trained right now. Sage Karam has passed him. David Schildhaus has passed him. Gary Sexton just passed him. He got loose, so did Stolnek. DJ Cummings looks to the inside. That's a teammate of Stolnek. Stolnek able to cover the spot, but still lost 3 positions in 1 lap. Car 41 not up to pace as far as the other drivers.
Well, and it looks like it's not going to get any easier. You can see a big run right behind him from DJ Cummings, who started on the outside of the pole a little bit earlier. He finds himself in the 14th position right now, so falling back just a little bit. But Stolnek trying to recover as they had to turn 1 just behind Gary Sexton.
And that's a good point, but he's not the only playoff driver in trouble around your top 20. You look a couple of spots back on the inside of turn 1. That's the 83 of Joey Padgett, rookie driver. So these two struggling on the opening run. Robbie Lyons looking to the inside of Padgett. This is going to be for 18th. So now you question, Blake, how does strategy play out if you stay green? For the 41 and the 83, how drastic of a change do you have to make to gain track position?
Well, in the 41 of Stolnek really just backed up turn 2. That caused DJ Cummings to check up, as did Ford Martin. That allows Ronnie Osmer to get onto the scene. Connor Berry is there as well. Here comes Cummings now to the inside for position number 13. They'll be side by side off turn 3.
Cummings down in the bottom side of the racetrack. Stolnek all the way up top, and they're going to touch. Stolnek into the wall. He saves it and keeps on rolling, but contact off at turn number 3. Stolnek into the fence, and they're looking to go 4 wide to get by that ailing 41 machine.
And those are all Crypto Autosport teammates. The 01, the 41, or the 07, the 41, and the number 10. All of them are part of the same group, so a little bit of tension there, and it's going to drop the 41 further throughout the field. It's going to make the strategy call way more alternative than any other that we'll probably see if we stay green. That 41 continues to drop kick to the field, 19th entering turn 2.
We'll see how long these drivers decide to wait until they start to come onto the pit lane. One car bounces it off the outside wall coming off turn number 2. That's Joshua Slate trying to get by the 41 of Matt Stolnek. So Stolnek now back to position number 20 here, coming through turn 3, at least fighting for that spot.
And that is tough, and there are going to be a couple of takers onto the pit lane. Matt Stolnek, DJ Cummings, and Ronnie Osmer. So all of those teammates, Jacob, just before they come into pit, they make contact. Do you think that that could have influenced this call to come down pit road, or was this something that was scheduled beforehand? But nevertheless, going to split this race into 4 different stints is this Crypto Autosport team.
That's what it's looking like here, because we're at lap 20, so we're a quarter of the way through the race, or sorry, 20 laps are complete. So I guess they're thinking it's a 3-stopper. I thought they could make it a little bit more than that, but remember, limited fuel capacity on these race cars, so I'm sure that doesn't help them at all. There's a great battle going into turn number 3. Ryan Vargas is there. That's Sage Karam that's there. David Schildhaus, teammate, right behind him.
Oh, it is close quarters.
Oh, Schildhaus into the wall and around.
Oh, he saves it, but the caution is thrown. Schildhaus looked like he was about dead to rights there off of turn 3. Tagged the outside retaining wall in the front straightaway. Kind of overcorrected in what is a very common mistake with these next-gen cars. And boy, did Crypto Autosport just fleece the entire field because they came down pit. They did not go a lap down, and they're going to start the race as the leaders now, assuming that everybody else pits.
I was about to say, that's a heaven-sent circumstance for the two drivers of Crypto Autosport and Ronnie Osmer, because the great thing is there's not going to be a tire difference. They came out of pit road as soon as that caution flag waved, so everyone's going to be on an even playing field, and that's going to be large. And I wondered for a while with the 41 and the 83, how alternative did they have to get? How far from the grain did they have to go on pit strategy to get up to the front? It looks like it just happened to luckily fall into the lap of the number 41 at Stallneck. An unbelievable call. Great caution at the right time. He's going to be up front.
We talk about strategy making a huge difference, and whether you could be battling for a championship, it may have just played out for Matt Stallneck, who, again, we assume will resume the lead, or at least he and his team will jump in front of the field and kind of leapfrog everybody when they catch up to the field and eventually make the trip down pit road. So a big shakeup in this race, but hey, that's Pocono. It is to be expected at a racetrack like this. We'd like to remind you, though, that Interstate batteries are built to top industry standards. Interstate Batteries has been the technician's choice for 9 years and counting. Powered by a distributor network of 300 wholesale warehouses and backed up by more than 150,000 dealers around the world, as well as 200 all-battery center franchise stores, Interstate seeks to deliver the most trustworthy source of power to the world every single day. Interstate Batteries, outrageously dependable and proud partner of the Monday Night Racing Pro Series presented by Interstate Batteries. It has been a fun opening quarter of this race. Blake McCandless, Kenneth Bueno, Jacob Pitts, and Eric Estep on the call with you here from the Pocono Mountains in the Out of the Groove 200. And boy, do we have some pit stops here that could kind of have a big impact here, Kenneth.
Yeah, this is going to be big, and we wonder here how Corey Heim and Reed Wilson might come out of the group, and especially with their lead eradicated, with Adam Cabot, Chase Cabre, Presley Sora, all those guys now tucked up behind them. It's going to put a little more pressure on the guys up front to have a solid and clean pit stop. We should obviously expect 4 fresh tires and some fuel to make it to the next stint. But my question really is, how is this going to change the race if we stay green from here on out, and how it's going to affect the way these guys come in groups? So look at Corey Heim. He's going to overshoot the pit box, so he's going to lose a bit of time. Jack's already up for the likes of Presley Sora and some others. In the 51 in, also have word Jacob Pitts that Stallneck is in a second time.
Yeah, so 2 of the 3 drivers that pitted before the caution flag decided to stay out. That was Ronnie Osmer and DJ Cummings. The problem is Stallneck, he has a lot of damage on that 41. That's why he's back on the pit lane right now, getting some of that damage fixed. Because if you don't fix the damage here, frankly, you're going to be in trouble. Because aerodynamics really, really matter here. And we'll have to see, how Stallneck can recover from this, because he had the right strategy, pitting and then getting the caution. Problem is he can't cash in because of the damage that he sustained from getting into the outside wall under green.
Oh, wow, that is tough. We thought that he was in a perfect position. And yeah, we do know this is Pocono. If there's any damage you want to fix, this is such an aero-dependent racetrack that you really can't afford to tough it out and see if it's going to improve. It's not really going to do that. But let's see if we can't catch up with one of these drivers. They can give us a lowdown on how things are feeling out there at Pocono tonight. Ryan, this is Blake McCandless in the broadcast booth. You got us?
I got you loud and clear.
All right. Well, thank you for taking the time, Ryan. You've had about, let's say a little over 20 laps to kind of figure things out here tonight. How does the car feel, and anything you can kind of take away from that first run?
I mean, really the biggest thing is just keeping the right rear underneath the race car. This thing is so stiff, so edgy. It's so easy to slide the rears, especially on the exit. I started forcing myself to kind of keep the car in fifth gear more to try and keep the rears underneath me. But this FFO Critical Path Security Chevy, I mean, it's decent. I think I could run top 5, but it's just dicey back here. It's really dicey, edgy. The car's edgy and the racing's dicey, so it just leads to a mix of craziness.
We've seen a lot of different drivers having to work together and kind of balance wanting to battle versus kind of pushing another car and giving each other some draft. Is that something you kind of have in mind here on this restart?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if you're a single car and you jump to the inside and you can't clear that car on the top, it's gonna get very difficult to get back in line, because once you're stuck on that low side, everybody just freight trains you on the top. So you got to make your moves quick. But that's racing.
All right, Ryan, well, we'll let you get back to it. Thanks for taking the time to speak to us, and good luck the rest of the way.
Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Ryan Vargas, our Tough Go in-race reporter for the Out of the Groove 200. Ryan lines up 9th, just behind Corey Heim, who up to this point has dominated this race. So as we were talking about earlier, 3 cars managed to pit the lap before the caution came out. Ronnie Osmer and DJ Cummings were 2 of those 3 machines. They right now sit on the front row with pretty much fresh tires, exact or at least evened out with the rest of the field. Then you have Reed Wilson, Adam Cabot, and Chase Cabry, your first 3 drivers who came down and got service to their race car and made their way off of pit road. So pace car will once again dive down to the safety lane. First restart of the night tonight as Ronnie Osmer, a great jump out of the Geico restart zone. Green flag is in the air, and Ronnie Osmer ahead by about a car length over DJ Cummings. He'll slide up by to the top side, and Adam Cabot will shove that 10 car to turn 1 as they're 3 and 4 wide behind him.
And Cabot's going to dive on the inside of the 10 for second. We'll see if he can officially clear their side-by-side, Cabry and Sora, for position behind them. There were 3 wide with the likes of Colin Fern on the very bottom. Going to be 2 rows deep, 2 wide, with Ronnie Osmer still holding up the very front by turn 2.
A lot of chaos in the back of the field. Meanwhile, at the front, Chase Cabry, Presley Sora side by side. Cabry washes up the racetrack in turn 2, right up in front of Bailey Turner. Turner has to get out of the gas so he doesn't run that 39 machine over. How about Corey Heim? He goes to the bottom of the racetrack trying to get by Turner now, but Osmer leads the pack off 4, 3.
That he does, and you can see Corey Heim, kind of as we heard a little bit from Ryan Vargas earlier, if you cannot get clear, it is tough pickings down there on the inside of the racetrack as he goes side by side with Turner. He looked to have a nose. He's going to try to pull him back and make the move for 7th down into the first corner.
He's going to either want to clear Bailey Turner or find space between the back bumper of Turner and the front bumper of the 43 Sage Karam. For right now, he's going to lose out the battle against Turner. Looks like Karam might have a little space. He almost makes contact with the 51 on the back straightaway. Meanwhile, Chase Cabry to the inside of Presley Sora for P5.
2 drivers that may be fighting for a championship in 2 weeks' time. Wheel to wheel off turn 2. Sora gets a little loose as Chase Cabry kind of pushed him a little wide. Side by side just up the road. Reed Wilson, DJ Cummings side by side. Two battles, 4 cars off turn 3.
2 battles nearly 2 inches off each other as Cabry is all into the left rear quarter panel of Presley Sora trying to pull him back, and now Bailey Turner going to get up into that battle as well, so Cabry not able to make the move. He's going to lose 2 spots as a result.
And with the track so draft dependent, this one here at Pocono with this next gen car, it's almost like that's the only option, Blake, you have if you're a driver on the inside lane. Meanwhile, here comes Adam Cabot looking to the inside on the back straightaway. He'll look for turn 2 with an opportunity at P1 under Ronnie Osmer.
There goes Adam Cabot. He already has an M&R championship. He would love to add a second one. He takes the lead away. Osmer now stuck in P2. Reed Wilson behind him. Then 3 car lengths back to DJ Cummings. Presley Sorrell was all over him. Bailey Turner looks to the outside. Gabriel gets underneath. He's a little loose through turn 3.
And that 39 has been sliding. You can see it out of the corner of your eye. Those big, bright teal colors that adorn that race car. He has been wheeling that machine. But how about a nod to Reed Wilson? Right?
Trouble front straightaway. 1 car to the inside wall. It's Stephen Ellis got turned around, and the caution flag is out. They were battling back in the middle of the pack, and 3 wide, and it's Stephen Ellis that gets turned down to the inside wall, and Kenneth Bueno looks like you got a piece of it there. George Belfans Jr. looks like with the contact.
Yeah, remember Blake McCandless, you said on the front straightaway, they were roughly 2 inches off each other. That 2 inches turned to 0. They were almost 3 wide. Here's a look at the 94 and the 46. And I talked about how important side drafting is. It feels like it's the only option if you're the car down low. Belfans just got a little too close, flirted with disaster, and disaster struck. Stephen Ellis, the victim out of all of that, pancakes the left side of the race car to the inside safer barrier. And guys, second caution of the night here from Pocono.
Yeah, that looked like a classic case of I want to side draft you, but I just I got a little bit too close right there. And I think that shows how desperate these drivers are when they're out of line, how much they're willing to do to try to pull that driver back, to keep them in contention, and at the very least, try to keep them side by side by the time they get to turn 1. Now, the one thing here with strategy, Eric, that I'll kind of bring up here, we had about, 7 or so laps on that green flag run. We know Pocono's a track where tires always come into play. What do you think is going through the minds of some of these crew chiefs right now as they're trying to decipher whether they should come down or not?
Yeah, it's interesting. 75% fuel loads. We saw in that first stint, and I know Matt Stolnick had some damage, but we saw Ronnie Osmer, DJ Cummings. They came in under green about 21 laps in. Looked like they were planning to make this a 3-stop race. With those caution laps, did these teams save enough fuel? Do you need to pit here? Does this set you up to make it maybe on one more stop? Can you stretch it? That's a really good question. I'll be curious to see how this plays out. I feel like we haven't seen anyone run through an entire fuel run yet to really know how many laps they can confidently go on fuel. So I'll be curious to see if anyone pits here, because that might tell us everything we need to know as far as how far you can make it on one run.
I'm curious to see it as well. Again, it'd be a lot easier to kind of calculate things based off of the 20-gallon fuel cells that iRacing typically uses for this race car. It is shortened for purposes of this race just down to 15 gallons, so you'd imagine that cuts into the fuel mileage just a little bit. I've heard about 27 to 29 laps is what these drivers are gauging, and it looks like up front, pretty much everybody agrees to stay out, but the rest of the field 18th on back. Ford Martin is the first taker, and he's going to bring pretty much the rest of the field with him to try to gain a little bit of fuel strategy here. So 50 laps to go. You can go about 28 laps here on fuel. If math serves me correctly, Jacob, that means that everybody that's pitting right now, they can make it on one more stop. The rest of the field that stayed out, they cannot.
Yeah, these guys are going to try and make it on one more stop, and I think maybe for the guys that stayed on the racetrack, they think that we're not done seeing yellows, and that since we're all bunched back up again, once we get back under the green flag, we're going to keep seeing the cautions fly. Remember, they have 4 sets of tires on the pit lane, so these guys that have pitted now, they only have 2 left. If we get a late caution, they are really only going to have 1 set at the most. The drivers that stay out, and depending on how things fall, they could have an extra set for their advantage. But Matt Stolnick, he's going to be one of those guys that decides to pit here in this group, trying to get off strategy, and this could be the winning move. And sometimes you have to do something bold like this in order to give yourself a shot to make the next round of the playoffs. But it looks like a lot of just fuel-only stops. None of these guys, or very few of these guys, taking tires. Stolnick, though, decided to take 4.
I was about to mention Nick Olson fuel only, same for Justin Malillo in the 53 Traction 4. Jordan Buster as well only took fuel on his pit stop. I think David Schildhouse may have been a part of that group as well. Yes, indeed. Now, the problem with that, Kenneth, when we talk about these drivers saying how sketchy this race car is, how on edge it is, if you're taking fuel only in these cars, anybody who's done iRacing enough can well tell you that is definitely going to loosen this car up. So if you're on these old tires, you're already going to be a little bit free, or at least trend that way as well. But adding fuel only, it's going to make your car pretty sketchy, especially when you're in traffic.
Yeah, it is. And also to take note, you mentioned it at the top of the show when we got the green flag initially, there's no change in the sun, no change in the weather. We're still hot at 121 degrees. So with added onto the fuel, that car is going to get loose. Old tires on the rear. You have to be insanely careful when you get this green flag. You can also play the same equation to Matt Stolnick, who took 4 fresh Goodyear Eagles. Cold tires on this restart might also be a problem to behold with the fuel that he also put on his Chevrolet Camaro. It's a lot of sketchiness, and we know one thing, Blake, about these next-gen cars. Once you get them sideways, you break that threshold, you're going around, and there's no stopping it.
We've seen that time and time again. You barely get out of shape in these cars. Even if you're on the straightaway, it's been pretty common that it is nearly impossible to try to bring the car back within your control. So we'll see here, lap 32 of 80, so at least approaching the halfway point of this race. Lights are out on the pace car, so we will get the green flag out of turn number 3 this time. Ronnie Osmer on the outside of row number 1, and Adam Cabot has elected to take the bottom as your race leader. And at least as the points would run right now, he would be one driver locked in to the championship 4. You can see the live points on the right-hand side of your screen. Presley Sora, Chase Cabry, and Corey Heim right now at the front of the field. They would be the 4 drivers in. Matt Stolnick would have the toughest hill to climb next week should these standings hold as is. So Cabot going to try to get a jump here on the restart, and that he does. Great jump for car number 17. Green flag in the air. Just 40. 8 laps to go.
Look at the jump by Adam Cabot in the 17. Now you think, is he going to get reeled in as quickly as we see leaders do on super speedway restarts? Ronnie Osmer slides way up the track in turn 1. You'll see the 66 of Reed Wilson dive to the inside, almost a bit of contact between the 39 of Cabry, the 10 of DJ Cummings. Meanwhile, they are 3 wide for position behind them. 51, 98, 43, 3 wide into turn 2.
2 of those drivers playoff guys, and neither of them gonna lift. Neither will Sage Karam, and now Sora gets turned around off the bumper of Heim. Sabile gets a piece of it as well. Ford Martin slams into the inside wall on the short chute between turns 2 and turn 3. The caution is out. I think Sora is okay. Ford Martin took a whale of a hit to the inside safer barrier and got it not once, but I think twice. Big crash in the short chute.
I think Presley Sora is going to have to send a Christmas card here to Ford Martin, who does everything he can. He destroys his own car to not hit Presley Sora, who I think is unscathed in that accident. Of course, he loses all of those positions, but we're going to see it one more time here off of turn 2. Such a high rate of speed. You see the smoke. Martin goes to the bottom, think he's going to avoid it, and at the last second, again, destroys his race car to not hit the playoff contender in Presley Sora. I mean, that's a nice little sacrifice right there from the 07 car.
That's a hole-in-the-wall move, and unfortunately, he tagged the inside wall twice. That is a sacrifice, though, worthy of keeping Sora in the playoff hunt. And I don't really think the 07 isn't really too damaged. I think he is, of course, but I don't think he's as damaged as it looks like, at least from the hit. I think he should be okay. But still, I mean, just an unbelievable accident, and Presley Sora getting tapped in. And Jacob, it turns back to that point you made when you talked to him about him being worried about other drivers getting into him other than him inflicting his own wounds. So a tough break for Sora, and with the drivers in this field, none of them being a lap down, Sora is 35th when he rejoins the racing surface.
Pacing around under caution once again, and it's the way it typically works in Monday Night Racing, that sometimes cautions tend to breed some more cautions here, and getting into the string of it right now. Adam Cabot is your race leader. But we know that we have a lot of new fans who are likely watching iRacing for the first time. If you want to be a part of iRacing, you want to be a part of a big event, look no further than a few weeks' time. The Podium 500 taking place in these next-gen cars at the Daytona International Speedway, the World Center of Racing, one of the biggest events on the iRacing service every single year. The 5th annual Podium 500 is available for signups right now, and you can check that out at podiumesports.com to sign up today. Again, that is podiumesports.com. The official 500 will take place the day of the big game, with some trials and heats going on a little bit earlier on that week. So you want to be part of it, you go to podiumesports.com. Don't need any iRating or anything. You just need to have an iRacing account, this car, and a will to win the race. So it should be fun to see that event return yet again for another year. Hearing some calls over the radio right now with some of these drivers looking to save some fuel under this caution. Again, we mentioned that they would not be able to make it on one more stop, but these cautions, Jacob, they're kind of playing right into their lap. That's exactly what they want.
Yeah, this is what the leaders are hoping for. Is just, a lot of cautions, and the cautions, you don't get a lot of caution laps, but because this track is 2.5 miles, a caution lap here takes an eternity and a half. So you have plenty of time to save fuel, and that's what these drivers are counting on at this point. You ride on board with DJ Cummings, and you saw there on the digital dash, he had the clutch in. He puts it in right here, and he's going to save some more fuel behind the pace car, and that's what most, if not the entire field, is going to do here as they come by me. Most of them pretty silent over here in turn 3.
They're quiet, but you know what, Jacob? You can still see the digital dash on. Turn the car off. You're going to save more fuel if you shut it off. That's at least that's the resident driver in me, at least looking at everybody trying to save fuel. I'll at least look around and see who's actually shutting the motor off. I don't really see anybody right now.
Do we need auto start stop for these drivers too while we're under yellow so they can just save a little more fuel?
Well, that's one thing that not everybody maps a button for the ignition switch in the car. So that is one thing that in iRacing you have to kind of do that beforehand. I kind of switch it to a button on my steering wheel because I don't have a whole dashboard set up for my sim rig that's at a computer desk. But that is one thing. If you press the clutch and you shut the motor off, I mean, that's just a little bit, and you never know how many drops of fuel you're going to want off of turn 3 here on the final lap. Every little bit counts. Rest of the field should be fine, though, if they pit on our lap 38 caution, or at least now, should be fine to make it on just one more stop to the checkered flag. Once again, you take a look at the live playoff standings. Cabot, your race leader, he'd be locked in. And these are kind of the 4, Kenneth, that I thought we would have coming into the night, or at least would shape up. When you think about who's dominated this season, who's been leading laps, who's been contending for race wins, I think you really have to look at Adam Cabot, Cabry, Corey Heim. I mean, these are some of the drivers that have really been dominating this season.
Yeah, 100%. You can make a case for either one of those guys to be a favorite for the M&R Championship this season. I think the only outlier is right now Joey Padgett, the rookie driver, who has been so consistent, but obviously has not been as good as Presley Sora tonight in the number 98. With Sora dropping all the way back to the field, he is more than 10 points out of a championship 4 appearance. We'll see if he recovers. That's going to be big if he doesn't, though.
He's going to have his work cut out for him with 44 laps to go here at the Tricky Triangle. Back underway, not as great of a launch this time for Adam Cabot, trying to get away from that battle for second, but he's clear by about a car length over DJ Cummings, who once again is up front here battling for the lead as Colin Fern goes 3 wide, nearly 4 behind him.
And another driver 3 wide on the inside. That is Joey Padgett. He'll slot into 11th. He'll try to reunite himself with his Team Joyride teammate. They are still 3 wide. One of them a Team Joyride car. Reed Wilson on the inside, back straightaway. Corey Heim rocketing on the back straightaway as Cabot looks for turn 2 in the race lead.
Boy, Corey Heim lifted really early getting into turn number 2. Reed Wilson catches the apron. Bailey Turner into the outside wall off turn 2. Everybody keeps them pointed in the right direction. The battle for position number 5. Colin Fern on the inside. Bailey Turner on the outside in the 5. Both drivers outside the playoff picture fighting for position.
Both outside of the playoffs, both not giving an inch right here on the front straightaway, but Fern may be the lone man out as he is all by his lonesome down there on the bottom side of the racetrack. Going to try to slot in line, but Sage Karam not going to let that happen to turn 1.
He's going to need space, but Colin Fern is going to dive on the brakes in turn 1. He'll even out with the 43, and that spells danger for the 86 because here comes the 25 of Lane Sabile. How about another driver down low who backs out? That was the 51. The 86 about checked up Sabile and almost caused an accident on the back straightaway.
And Gary Sexton will peek to his outside going into turn number 3 again. A big checkup going into the corner. Sabile a little wiggly. He bounces off Gary Sexton. Colin Fern gets a little sideways. They're 3 wide further back. Nick Olson charging his way through the field. He splits Michael Fisher and gets underneath George Belfans Jr. as well. Josh Slate is there. Almost 4 wide for position off corner number 3.
Oh boy, they are battling back there. A huge slide job by Corey Heim will put him up into the 5th position. This battle a little further back behind your race leaders. You mentioned Belfans Jr. This is all for about 13th as they are single filed out in front of him.
And if you're Ryan Vargas in the 26, this is not what you want to see. You do not want to be 3 wide or 4 wide with everybody else, including non-playoff competition. You want to be as single file as you could be. It looks like he finally gets his wish. They're side by side further behind them in this group. How about Max Kennan underneath? Justin Malillo and Presley Sora looking about 3 wide turn 2.
Trying to make up as many spots as he can right now as they make their way down toward turn number 3. It's single file. Nope, here comes Cabry for the lead. He's got it over Adam Cabot. Little crossover move coming up off the corner. Wheel to wheel off turn 3.
Side by side for the race lead and perhaps a shot at the championship here at Pocono. Just about approaching halfway of this one. These two are battling, but Ronnie Osborne may have something to say about this as well, as now that car 55 has a big run down into the corner.
Make that 20 positions gain since the drop of the green flag for Tampa, Florida's Chase Cabry might beat 21 at the exit of turn 1. He gets a big run to the back straightaway. Ronnie Osmer might follow in his tracks with draft. 17 of Cabot will side draft. They'll be even entering turn 2.
Once again, side by side, Cabot throws it in. He has the momentum. He takes the lead. Cabry with the launch off. After backing up the corner, Colin Fern hits the outside wall back in the P7 spot. He's okay. They check up behind him. Still side by side for the lead. Cabry on the bottom. Cabot up top. They're still side by side coming to halfway.
Both drivers want it here at the halfway point of this one. To the line, it looks like Adam Cabot may just have it. Cabry trying to pull him back. Not going to be able to do it. Cabot is clear for the lead for now. But here comes Chase Cabry. Another battle back on the inside into turn 1.
Will Cabry try a slide drop? He cannot. And the answer is no. But the 17 washes up the track. He'll try to rise out of the banking with enough momentum. It looks like Cabry might reel him back in. And what does that say for Ronnie Osmer? They almost make contact. The leaders do, heading for turn 2, and they're still even for P1.
2 drivers very, very aggressive. They don't want to have to go into Chicagoland in a must-win scenario, but if they keep racing this hard, they may put themselves in danger. Cabry clear out in front. Car length and a half back to Cabot. Side by side now for 3rd. Osmer on the outside. DJ Cummings on the bottom. He misses the bottom of the racetrack, and Osmer gets the run off the high side.
Ronnie Osmer reeled in your race leaders as they were battling, now falls back by about 3 car lengths. Cabry will pull low to try to break the draft on the front straightaway. It doesn't look like it's deterring that number 17 at all. Oh, and who is that? That is Sage Karam. What a save by Sage Karam into turn 1.
What a save, and he keeps it straight. We maintain under green. They make more contact. Exiting turn 1. Here comes Lane Sabile without his team. He'll tag the 43. Karam again saves it on the back straightaway. Unbelievable.
It looked like Karam went to pull out. DJ Cummings either tried to get to the inside of him or got blocked. There was contact. They were able to hold on. Back to the battle for the lead off turn 2. Here comes Cabot. Here comes Osmer. They're going to be 3 wide for the lead going into turn number 3. Osmer will not back out of it. Toe-to-toe with 2 playoff drivers. Cabot in the middle. Cabry on the outside. Osmer down low off 3.
Osmer loses steam, but the top two are still side by side. And oh, by the way, Bailey Turner and Corey Heim are knocking at the doorstep right now. Wheel to wheel, mere inches off of each other for the race lead, but here comes Bailey Turner and Corey Heim with a shot at it.
Can you imagine Corey Heim with a potential targeting spot at your top two? Cabot clears for P1. He'll maintain calm on the back straightaway. Never mind. Here comes a move back down for the lead. Chase Cabry will try and snake trail. Will get some draft off of the 17 off the side, and you'll have the nose ahead for turn 2.
Ronnie Osmer continuing to fall back. He's now in P8, still side by side up front. Whoa, and look out. Here comes Bailey Turner on the outside as Chase Cabry had to lift. Here comes Corey Heim. Now here comes Colin Fern, 3 wide on the bottom. Cabot pulling away. Turner trying to hold on to second from Cabry.
4 abreast for just a moment for the second position as Bailey Turner gets clear. Heim and Cabry make contact on the front stretch. Turner goes to second. Heim pushing him further. Does he make a move? He'll tuck right in line and give Cabot a shove off into turn 1.
That's a smart move. You don't want to go to the inside and then get freight trained by Cabry, Fern, Sexton, and all the drivers behind them and then lose all of your progress. Here's on board with the 13 following in P6. And boy, Colin Fern has been on a mission, was on the outskirts of the top 10 on the restart, now inside the top 5 for turn 2.
Bailey Turner had another big push from Corey Heim. Heim can't get him to go after the lead, so Heim says, all right, well, I'm going to give you one more shot, and then I'm going to try and pass you and take over P2 myself as Cabot pulling away, second on back, starting to drop back. And if you told me at the beginning of the season Pocono would have the best racing in this series, I wouldn't believe you. Well, I will now.
It has put on a great show tonight, and there's still a long ways to go. 36 laps to go. Cabot cleared by Turner from 2 car lengths. And you have Corey Heim, Chase Cabry, and Colin Fern rounding out your top 5.
And they're all single file. I think now the tires are reaching their cliff at this point. You don't want to push that race car too hard, because if you do, you might end up in the outside wall and you might end up with race over and tossing off Jacobs Point. By the way, this is the first time M&R ever visits the Tricky Triangle. What a show it's been putting on as Heim gives a push to Bailey Turner for second into turn 2.
And again, they back off, and that allows Cabot to scoot away by another car length off turn number 2. They'll once again try to get the run as they come down the front straightaway, but Bailey Turner not willing to take the run and go for the race lead. He is perfectly fine, saving fuel, waiting in the draft. And keep in mind, a lot of these leaders going to have to come in pretty soon as one car gets loose in turn 3 and almost washes up into Ronnie Osmer, but keeps it straight.
I heard one call that perhaps a driver was about to head down pit road, but Eric, I just want to get a beat on what everybody is thinking out there in the chat. I mean, we have seen some spectacular racing up front. It has not disappointed yet tonight, that's for certain.
Absolutely. I asked the chat to use one word to describe that epic battle for the lead that's really still ongoing, and intense, epic, dangerous, crazy, insane, gripping, survival. This is pretty intense. And earlier, I thought Dylan Blackwood in the chat had a really good comment after, I think, the most recent caution. Cautions breed selfish drivers. And I think right now we're seeing a lot of take, not a lot of give here with less than 40 laps to go, Blake.
I tell you what, the Eric Estep fan base must have a thesaurus with them right now, because boy, that was some great words to describe some of the action that's going on here at Pocono. Big slide off of turn 3. That was George Belfans Jr. who nearly took a spill back there for the 20th position, but right now settled out for just a moment, single file, as a couple of drivers starting to talk about whether they're going to come down pit road or not.
Yeah, this might be the marker if we stay green, because if you were hoping for a yellow, then it probably would have come out by now. You definitely need a blueprint in place if you want to go for pit road, have a strategy that can get you all the way to the very end. And you looked at George Balfans Jr. inside the top 20. Presley Sora, despite dropping all the way back through the group, he's made some considerable progress, and he's looking for some more outside of James Bickford for 18th.
Colin Fern got the wall again, coming off turn number 2. Going to lose a spot maybe here to Gary Sexton. He goes around the outside. And it looks like Colin maybe going to hold on to the bottom. We'll see down the front straightaway.
Can Colin Fern do it? Looks like answer is no for now. He'll lose 6th. Now he'll lose the 7th position to Reed Wilson, who was so competitive early on in the night and right now finds himself in 6th.
and still inside the top 10. You could say it's been a great run so far for Team Joyride. And for Reed Wilson, a driver who's not in the playoffs, not running for the championship, this is an outstanding race. And we've seen many races in this season, Blake, where this 66 has been on fire, has been consistent, has been leading laps up front. Last thing in the checkbox is a checkered flag. Maybe that could come with strategy as he continues in P6.
Colin Fern really wide in turn 2. That could open up the door for Sage Karam. He gets right to the back bumper, but can't make a move on him quite yet. Going down into turn number 3, he stays right in line. And nowhere for him to go, but another car peeking to the bottom. That's Leighton Sabile trying to claw his way back inside the top 10.
And he's fallen back just a little bit. And how about the driver that's just up the road from him in Nick Olson? He's clear by about 3 car lengths over Sabile. Olson hung out in the back for a while, but has found his way up into the top 10 here in the late going.
And this is a very interesting transition for a guy like Nick Olson, who was eliminated from the playoffs last week. He comes into this race with absolutely nothing to lose, and that change in mindset, Blake, could be very pivotal. It could change a driver from racing conservatively and then happened to fall into some bad luck, got eliminated, and then going for all-out wrath in the next race once they're eliminated. Olson is a very competitive driver, and so far has been proving that, has dropped from P10. Well, he was in P10 right now. He started 17th on the green flag in the P2.
Well, he started P17th, but he started from the pit lane at the green flag. It's where he qualified with 17th, but either missed the grid or decided it wasn't worth it, decided to start from the pits, and I think that's why we haven't heard from him much in the early part of this race. But he's here now, racing with a vengeance.
Yeah, he is, and right now he has Ronnie Osmer pushing him forward as he'll clear up for the 9th position. So Olson still looking for that elusive first win here in the Monday Night Racing Pro Series.
They'll all stay single file heading for turn 1, and I really like the progress that Olson has been making and keeping his tires cool on the inside of the racetrack. That's how he's made the moves on Ronnie Osmer. Now competitively looking at Sage Karam here, all single file, and I think drivers are looking for pit road soon. That blueprint is out already, Jacob.
Yeah, they've got to come, I would think, at most in the next 5 laps. Even with saving fuel under the cautions, you haven't been able to save that much. You're going to have to come pretty soon, and you're coming to 30 to go right here. So these guys that haven't pitted in a while, I think they're going to be just short without a caution, and they're really going to need some help as far as making it to the end on this stop. Here comes one on the pit road.
Yeah, the fuel mileage that I show is about 28 laps is how far you can make it on fuel, at least according to some of the calculations when I've been driving iRacing here. So they're going to be close. If you're DJ Cummings, you're going to come out of pit road. You're not going to have any draft. That is going to be a big factor as well. Pitting with a group is going to help your fuel mileage significantly. And if you're somebody like Adam Cabot right now, Eric, who's up at the front of this field, that's not going to help your fuel mileage. That's going to make it much worse.
No, you almost would rather be 3rd, 4th, 5th in line here, but yeah, Cummings pitting there. You remember he did pit technically a lap earlier than most of our leaders. He was able to take advantage of that caution to get some track position. So yeah, we might see the leaders pit here either this time or next time by, and then that final run, we might see some real fuel saving come into play, Blake.
It's definitely possible here at Pocono. You mentioned some of the shifting, or Ryan Vargas was talking about it a little bit earlier. He was doing it to keep traction on those tires, but it may be a factor here, Kenneth, on whether you want to save fuel if you're going to ride in 5th gear or not.
Yeah, that's going to be big to stay in 5th gear, and we've seen drivers drop to 4th in the middle of the corners just because the revs aren't high enough. But if you're saving, you need to have draft in front of you, because when the revs aren't as high, you don't get as much speed on the car coming out of the corner. You don't get that acceleration, so you're really limiting yourself. And you look at Vargas here entering turn 2. He's going to try and hang in the draft here with Joey Paget, but he's got to stay there if he wants to save more gas.
Oh, and look out right in front of him. One car almost into the wall. That is Sage Karam that got a little high, wide, and handsome in turn 2. That allows Nick Olson to get underneath him. 2 red and black cars slugging at it inside the top 10. They'll sort it out off turn number 3.
Ronnie Osmer calling out that he is going to pit this time. Remember, he was a part of that trio of cars that pit before that caution that we had. So Osmer getting the call to pit lane. He's going to pit this time with 28 laps to go, right on the nail on the head on what we think is going to be the fuel window.
There's another driver in. That's the 96 of Michael Fisher. So bring him in as well and add in a tertiary car to this group. You ride on board with Presley Sora, who's been trying to pick up the pace. But now you question, Jacob, what the 98 is going to have to do. This race has gone green ever since his accident in turn 2. So how does he change his play?
He needs help. Whether it be a caution or something, I think he's going to have to get on a different strategy similar to where Matt Stolnick is at, but we'll just have to wait and see, because remember, Stolnick and crew, I think they're still going to have to make one more stop. The difference is that they know when they pit, they're going to be able to make it to the end.
One thing about the driver that we were just showing too, and Presley Sora, I know that he had a little bit of a spill earlier, but it's been a good week for the youngster, 19 years old, has just been an iRacer at heart, and last week announced with B. Laster Motorsports, he will be racing a Sportsman late model in 2023. Tested a late model at Hickory Motor Speedway the day after he won his championship in Season 5. I was about to say Season 4, but in Season 5, he went out and tested the next day, and that is one very cool thing. We talk about sim to reality and a bunch of different people who have been able to do a lot of different things, but very happy for Presley Sora. I know he wishes he was running better tonight right now, but very cool news for the 98 driver, and we wish him well in his real-world endeavors when he gets to it next season. We have a lot of real-life drivers that make their way to the sim. It's great to see it work both ways as they are pitting this time by. You can see your race leaders Turner, Heim, Cabri, and others on the pit road with 26 laps to go.
Oh no, Matt Stolnick, black flag, speeding on entry. A rough week for Stolnick between last week and Watkins Glen. It continues here at the Tricky Triangle for the driver of the 41.
And he has had preponderance to speeding on pit road at very inopportune times in these playoffs, so he's going to have to serve that black flag under green, and you'd think would put him close to a must-win scenario. Since there's only one more race left, you can see all the points that he has to make up right now. There's Adam Cabot. Let's see what he does and if he's going to make his trip down pit road. And no, he's going to take the right-hand turn and stay out on the racetrack another lap. So Cabot looks to be fine as far as fuel is concerned if he can make it back around.
And two drivers behind them, one of them a playoff competitor in Ryan Vargas coming down pit road. Him and David Schildhaus are going in, and Schildhaus hit the outside wall exiting turn 2. Vargas said something about, "Are you following me up into the outside wall?" And then Schildhaus made this pass as they were entering the pit lane, so the 26 making this call. But like you said earlier in the show, Blake, it is very important to pit with drivers around you once you exit. It's sort of like a super speedway. In that case, you need draft or you're going to be lost. And it looks like Adam Cabot might just be lost if he pits by himself, and he's going to stay out another lap.
Oh,
really nobody around him.
Yeah.
All right, Blake. Let's see. That Reed Wilson is 2 seconds back. Presley Sora's another 3. Josh Slate is another 1.5 seconds back, but here comes your race leader onto the pits.
Adam Cabot gets down, looks like pretty safely, to 55 miles per hour. The pace speed here at Pocono Raceway, no issues for him. You can see a little further on back down the road, a couple other drivers will follow him in. You see Joshua Slate, Robbie Lyons, the defending champion in this series, is on pit road as well. So is Jordan Buster, and Brett Baldeck is also on pit road as well. Wilson and Sora stayed out. So they have a little bit further to go, but also Sora last pit on lap 34, so he can go quite a distance here as far as fuel is concerned. Now, the question is whether you want to stay out and hope for a caution, or if you're just kind of a sitting duck out here knowing that you have to pit time.
I'm not sure if he's hoping to stay out as long as possible so that he can still have a lot of distance between himself and everybody behind. It's just a matter of circumstance. And here comes Reed Wilson. Left side he goes for pit lane. So that will hand the lead off to the Cambridge City, Indiana native of Presley Sora in the 98. So, I mean, we'll see exactly how long he stays out. Justin Melillo is in the same tracks, although he pitted roughly 4 laps before Sora did. It's going to be an interesting call. And if Sora pits all by himself, it may just be a fresh tire brigade happening in front of him, but I'm not exactly sure that the advantage from the guys behind is going to be that big.
You know, I right now have yet to make their trip down pit road. Justin Malillo, Brandon Brown, Devin Henry, Steve Affont getting some airtime up here at the front of the field. And, you know, I got to say they have a little bit of wiggle room here if they want to try anything off here. They have the ability to see the field. So back where they were running at about the 20 or 25th position, not really a whole lot to lose for these drivers. I like the strategy call. We'll see if a yellow does come out. That would certainly flip things on their head here at Pocono Raceway, but we know it is quite common here at this racetrack to have these races come down to this. So we'll cycle it back once again. Around this racetrack, you can see Bailey Turner right now kind of leading that second pack. Malillo is your race leader. We'll see if the call comes in for him to come down to pit lane, and yes, he is. He will turn left, get down to 55 miles an hour, and Justin Malillo will relinquish the race lead. Brown now has it. We'll take one more follower. That is Steve Affont, just a little further back from Justin Malillo in that 53 car that makes their way down pit lane. So 20 laps to go. We are just about complete with this green flag cycle. Ford Martin is on pit road as well. We also see one more car, who that is, in the back of pit road that makes their pit stop. It is Case Collenbach, the out of the groove machine. Have to throw that out there, of course.
Beautiful. Love that.
Yeah, exactly. And that'll just about do it, aside from your top 5 that have yet to pit.
I do like this call, though, by the guys up at the front. Brandon Brown, I know Justin Malillo in this group as well. You see Case Collenbach. There's the out-of-the-groove car with Eric's face on the front end, coming out of pit road this time by a gorgeous car, by the way. But I do like the call by the guys up front. Here comes Brandon Brown in, and although they're going to lose track position, they have lost the advantage they had over guys like Bailey Turner and Corey Heim. These are all guys that were at one point in the top 4, started 19th or worse in this race, haven't really had a lot of chances up at the front of the field. So with the tire difference, they may be able to pick off a couple of cars, get a better track position, finish at the end of this race, and gain some solid points and just be able to have a better race near the end. So it's a very interesting, and it could be a risky call in some cases, but I think I like it if you're these guys that have been hanging in the back for so long.
It's worked out for them. It's worked out this cycle for Corey Heim. You can see him right there just behind Bailey Turner. Heim has possessed so much speed all night long, and we think about how things have kind of cycled out here. Did pit a couple laps earlier than Adam Cabin and a couple of others, but has kind of found his way with Turner with some draft at the front of the field, and I think Heim in a really good position to perhaps take over and be in a position to win. Devin Henry makes his way down to the pit lane, so he has relinquished his race lead. Brandon Brown also pit as well, so it is just Stephen Ellis and Mark Rebillis right now who have yet to travel down to pit lane.
Man, Blake, we've had a couple of almost caution moments. The guys, especially that have pitted, Ronnie Osmer, DJ Cummings, I was getting sketchy back there with Gary Sexton, Colin Fern. They've kept it clean for the time being, but I've been watching them just in case, because there have been some moments where I thought I was going to have to open up the mic and yell trouble turn 2, but so far, so good. We'll see if that holds on for the 18 or so laps that we have left.
We'll see if it does. Up the racetrack goes the 99, who is your race leader for now. And does Rebillis get him a lap lead? That he does. Ellis will pull down to the pit lane, and Mark Rebillis right now, your race leader at Pocono. Good to see for old Mark.
By the way, he took the lead from Stephen Ellis. They were side by side as Devin Henry, who was the former leader, was coming down pit road. So a beautiful battle before the 99 was able to win out on the 46. And Ellis, of course, coming in this time by. But I like the point that you brought up, Jacob, just because in a long run where the whole field is so split, is so strung out in this race, and a big track, Pocono Raceway, 2.5 miles, you can end up in what I like to call the overthinking zone. You're running by yourself, maybe you're running with another car, and you're in a long run, you're just settled in. One slight mistake, if you overthink your car, the way you're driving it, or even maybe if you lack off a little bit, you smack the outside wall, that could be the prime recipe for trouble. So although we're seeing a lot of the field strung out, not many packed in battles in the racetrack as of the moment, you can never count out the possibility of a mistake on either one of these corners. Again, a three-headed beast can hit you at any time.
16 laps to go. It's kind of been fading quickly here as we talked about this run, but this would be the battle for the race lead. Turner, Heim, and Chase Cabry, your top three.
Look at a turn one. Bailey Turner still going to maintain ahead of the 51. They're roughly 2.5 seconds behind Mark Rubilis. Of course, that 99 is still awaiting pit road. We know how long the pit delta is here at Pocono, so we may just have this three-way battle for P1. It's going to get dicey.
And Heim and Cabry have kind of been working together to try and catch the 5 of Bailey Turner, because Turner was out in front by about half a second, but he is out in front by half a second. No more, as they're within about a second and a half of Mark Rubilis. He is going to pit this time by Bailey Turner, takes the lead on the front straightaway.
The Bailey Turner holds it. Corey Heim in second and Chase Cabry in third. Cabot is not too far back either, but with 16 laps to go, the battle is on for the top spot here at Pocono. Bailey Turner has it into turn one.
And for the 17 of Adam Cabot, you love the real estate that's going to be opening up right in front of you, because he's got 2 lap fresher tires than any of the drivers in your top 3. So a lot of targeting opportunities for the 17. That 39 peaks to the inside. He might charge for it. No, he won't, though. Maintain single file through your top 3 back to turn 2.
Little surprised to see Corey Heim not make the move. Perhaps he thinks he needs to save a little bit more Sunoco fuel, but right now he stayed tucked behind the 5 going into turn number 2, but now he's got pressure. Here comes Cabot underneath Cabry. That's for P3 through turn 3.
Adam Cabot down to the bottom side, but doesn't look like he's quite clear of Chase Cabry. He's going to hang on that right rear quarter panel, pull him back. No drafting help for Adam Cabot, and Cabot going to fall back to 4th. Bailey Turner has a little bit of help in front of him, though, with some lap traffic. You mentioned it.
And that's a 41 of Matt Stolnick right in front. That's big, though, for Stolnick. Minus 27 on the charts. He's going to be in a must-win situation, most likely by the time they get to Chicagoland next week. But they are door-to-door, 2 rows deep on the back straightaway. Could this help Adam Cabot maintaining the draft as Chase Cabry has to check up?
Stolnick on the outside line, playoff driver fighting for his life. In the way of the battle for the lead, Bailey Turner gets a little wide coming off the exit at turn number 2. That may allow the 51 of Corey Heim to reel him in. There's still single file. Your top 4 is now, oh, Nick Olson almost gets turned by Colin Fern getting into turn 3.
They make contact back there. Stolnick would be the lucky dog, but Massey is just up the road as well, or excuse me, that's Michael Fisher. They could go a lap down and take that lucky dog away from that 41 car. Corey Heim, Bailey Turner, 2-car tandem into turn 1 as now Cabot makes the move on Corey Heim.
And that was a little bit sketchy there for the 17. He almost had to back out of it as he almost made contact with the 51. Heim going to be smart and pinch him on the inside of turn 1. 17 side by side with the 51. They almost made contact. In fact, they do. Chase Cabry going to give the support on the back straightaway.
The inside line will have the momentum, at least for the moment, with Adam Cabot through turn 2. Wheel to wheel over the bumps in the tunnel. Cabot has the advantage. Here comes Heim with the run back on the outside. Cabry there to push him, going back into turn number 3. Still side by side for position number 2. Cabot drives it in really deep. It's Turner leading off turn 3.
And there is
Caution's
a caution. Yeah, caution on the speedway. It was off of turn number 2. DJ Cummings and Joey Padgett got together off of the second corner, and this will change everything to the end of this race. It looks like Padgett got a little bit loose. You can see right behind that eNASCAR machine, car 66. Cummings checks up a little bit, and then, oh, Padgett is chasing that race car. That nose is wandering all over the place off the corner. Gets into Cummings, who has nowhere to go. The eNASCAR Ford Fusion into the inside wall, and boy, does this change everything. I just say Fusion, I meant Mustang.
Well, they somewhat look similar if you look at the last gen Ford Fusion and then the current gen Ford Mustang, but there's a look at the contact again between the 10 and the 83. It's so tough to straighten this car out when you get it sideways, especially out of that second corner. When you rise up off the banking, you get onto that little chute heading for turn 3, and unfortunately it catches the 10 of DJ Cummings and he slaps the inside wall. I can imagine for Adam Cabot, might be a little frustrating because he had 2 lap pressure tires and all the guys he was getting around, and now he's going to be on an even playing field. These guys have at least 1 more tire set left in them, so it's going to be even by the time we get to a restart inside 10 to go.
Now, the question is, with everything on the line, who is going to pit, who's going to stay out, who's going to roll the dice and try an alternate strategy from the rest of the field? I think we've put together, and you talked about it earlier, Jacob, you cannot stay out on old tires without expecting a much slower race car. The tire fall off is real, and they do matter, and I think you're going to see it right now. Everybody agrees. Trip down to pit lane. Is everybody going to take 4 or 2? I think that's the biggest question. Bailey Turner going to lead him down to the pit lane.
I think you have to take 4. If you take it we're going to have, 9 to go on a restart? And you know they're going to wreck again. So, now, Mark Rebillis pitted 5 laps before the caution came out. Maybe 4 laps before the caution came out. So he doesn't have a lot of wear on his tires. He stays out. Number 99, as long as he doesn't pit, he's going to be your race leader here. And it looks like we may have a little bit of strategy. This driver's getting out of the box. I saw some guys getting let go a little early, but no, it looks like most of them taking 4 tires. Presley Sora taking 2. So is Malillo. So is Connor Berry. So we do have some strategy here at the front.
You know what? I love that call from Presley Sora because he had a lot of track position to make up, and he gets a bunch very quickly. May not be a winning move for Presley, but can maybe net him about 10 points or so. But you can see it right now at the front of the field. One driver stays out on the lead lap. It is Mark Rebillis, who is on only 5-lap old tires because of how late he pit in the cycle. So Rebillis is your race leader. A big wrench thrown in this out at the Groove 200. Certainly going to shake things up. When we come back, we'll take you to the checkered flag and see who will win, who might lock in their chance to battle for a championship in 2 weeks' time. We'll be right back with the Monday Night Racing Pro Series presented by Interstate Batteries right after this.
This is an Interstate battery. More pros trust this than any other out there. Yeah, more pros. More. Even more pros. Keep going. Moss. Look, we're going to run out of time before we run out of pros who like Interstate. I mean, we'll run out of time before we even run out of left-handed pros who knit. These pros are everywhere, which means so is this battery. Right around the corner, up the street. Everywhere. Interstate Batteries. Outrageously dependable.
FrontStretch.com, providing up-to-date news, analysis, and commentary on all the latest in the world of motorsports. Check out Front Stretch YouTube page for post-race content after the checker flag waves for most NASCAR events, giving you up-close interviews with your favorite drivers and the stories that matter each weekend. For the best seat of the track and the best view on the web, visit FrontStretch.com.
Visit our website at tuffcoflooring.com.
Get the edge on your competition with P8 Performance Gummies. Formulated specifically for gamers and the esports industry, we packed our gummies with all the good stuff, including ingredients that are clinically proven to help tired eyes, improve reaction times, and help suppress computer vision syndrome. Take your focus and endurance to the next level and try P8 Gummies today. Now available at Procelerate.com. Plus, if you're mad about gaming, we're looking to partner with influencers just like you. Drop us a line at support at Procelerate.com to see if you qualify to try our gummies for free. It's officially game on with
just in time to take the green flag. Rebilla's going to have to be picture perfect on this restart to keep this race lead, and it looks like for now he is. Green flag back in the air. Just 8 more laps to go. They are 3 wide now for second. Rebilla's trying to block. They're going to be 4 wide for the lead into turn 1.
They're going to split the middle. The 99 has nowhere to go and almost slams the 17. How about the 51 sliding up the racetrack in turn 1? Here comes Bailey Turner. They're still 4 wide. inside, in the midst of the top 5. More contact between the 98 and the 13. And how about the 17 pushing the 5 to the lead? Car around back straight away.
Still under green as they make their way through turn number 2. Mark Rabillas sinking through the field like a brick in a 2-foot creek. Meanwhile, Bailey Turner, your race leader, side by side for second between Adam Cabot and Corey Heim. Cabot on the bottom, Heim on the high side. Colin Fern in the mix. Cabry on his outside. Then further back, Connor Berry and Nick Olson.
Taylor cleared by about a car length right now, and side by side they go for second. Turner's going to go to the bottom and give Cabot a little bit of draft, but Corey Heim pulls up right to the back bumper of Turner. He gets blocked into the wall by Adam Cabot.
Smart move by Turner there. Him and the number 17 both have worked together so well for the past season or so. You want them to be 1-2 by the time this race is over. The 17 still can't find a way to clear Corey Heim. The 17 will have some sort of space in between the 51 and the 39, but it's all Bailey Turner up front back to turn 2.
Cabot drives it in deep into turn number 2, trying to take that second spot away. Corey Heim with the run up on the high side of the racetrack. Chase Cabry will push him on that outside. Cabot left all alone on the bottom. Heim can't quite clear himself for position number 2. Chase Cabry trying to make it 3 wide, but they're still just side by side for P2.
Side by side for second, but Cabry has a lot of influence here. Who is he going to push out of this battle for second? The answer is Corey Heim. Down the front straightaway, big momentum for the 51. He just has nowhere to go before he gets to the 14 degrees of banking.
It's felt like it's become a tag team. The 5 and the 17 have been on the same page, and the 51 and the 39 have been on their own, but they're inviting the 86 of Colin Fern, the 24 of Nick Olson. Contact between the 39 and the 86. Fern's able to save it, and here comes Cabry to the inside for third.
That was scary, especially with a playoff guy and a non-playoff guy making contact. Here comes Cabry, though, to the inside of Cabot. They're wheel to wheel. They almost make contact, headed toward turn number 3 down the short chute. Bailey turn around in front. Corey Heim sits in second. He's a playoff guy. Your race leader is not. Here comes Heim, looking to the bottom of the racetrack. They're going to be side by side off turn 3.
And Corey Heim trying to get the momentum off the corner.
Turn 3. Matt Stolnick in the outside wall. Ford Martin is around. I think Presley Sora, is the car that got a piece of it. No, that's Steve Font involved in this one back here. It started again with teammates, and Matt Stolnick now has a meatball flag to make his night so much better.
It's been a long couple of weeks for Matt Stolnick, and we're going to see it one more time. Yeah, gets into the corner just a little too hot, gets into the back of Ford Martin. Oh, my goodness.
Wow.
That's a teammate.
And they were teammates. More drama there as Stolnick just tried to send it turn 3, and I think the 07 was trying to hold on to the brakes and arc the car in the best way possible. He was looking at Brett Baldeck in the 44. That's a hard hit there for Stolnick, and then Baldeck nowhere he could go, just slams on the front bumper rather of his Toyota Camry. And that puts us guys in a restart inside. 5 laps to go. Did we get a green-white check on? I think we may be in that territory already.
You know, the amount of time we said that they're teammates, it makes me think of that Vine.
And they were roommates.
Yeah, well, and again, I think we have to explain what Vine is to a lot of our viewers out there, because it's all about TikTok nowadays. Back in my day.
Well, TikTok is sort of a reincarnation of Vine, if you really think about it. Short videos, quick content, funny creators, at least most of them are. So I'd say it's sort of a newer version, I guess.
Yeah, I will agree. If you look up a YouTube compilation of Vines, for all you youngins out there, yeah, you can just do that, and you'll probably get a gist of what we're saying. But yes, Matt Stolnick is on the access road right now, and he can barely drive the car on that, so he is going to have required damage and will no doubt be in a must-win situation with just one race left in the regular season, or excuse me, not the regular season, the playoffs, to try to advance to the championship 4. He's going to bring down a couple of drivers that were involved in that accident. Steve Font, Brett Baldeck is on pit road as well, Justin Malillo, and I think we may have gotten the one to go signal, if I'm No, I'm incorrect. Still 2 to go right now. Trying to give everybody an opportunity to come down and have the chance to pit. So major implications in this race, Kenneth, with the fact that Turner right now is your race leader. He is not a playoff driver, but if you look at the 3 drivers behind him on the scoring pylon, all are in Interstate Batteries green, which would indicate if they win, they would advance automatically for a chance to win the Season 6 championship.
And look at the buffers and points. It's practically non-existent on the right side of your screen. Adam Cabot is only 4 points ahead of that cut line before you get to the 51 of Corey Heim, who's the last driver in as it stands. If Bailey Turner wins this race, inside 5 laps to go from Pocono, he creates a huge difference between 4 drivers having to point their way in versus only 3. And when you have only 3 with a playoff driver locked in, trust me, it gets a lot harder for everybody below the cut line and even some those above it to maintain their position and stay where they are if things go haywire at Chicagoland in a week. So this move for the win might just be as far as desperation can get if you're Corey Heim, Adam Cabot, or Chase Cabre, because it's the meaningful win that could get you into the championship 4 and also to sort of chokehold everybody else to have to fight for those 3 spots and points next week.
It is going to be so tight. It has been every single season that we've come out for this Monday Night Racing Pro Series presented by Interstate Batteries. You never know until the very end who is going to be competing up here for this championship. We will get the 1 to go signal this time. We will have 3 laps to go. This will not be an attempt at overtime when we get back to the green flag. You'll have Turner, Heim, your top 2, all the playoff drivers that we just mentioned in tow. But you also have some guys that with some fresh tires and with the right run, they can make something happen up here. Nick Olson still looking for his first career Monday Night Racing Pro Series win. You have Connor Berry back there looking for the same as well. Sage Karam could strike once again after his win at Watkins Glen last week. So a lot of capable winners all the way back through the top 10. Gary Sexton could have something happen as well. And I know we've seen a lot of crazy restarts tonight. We've seen 3, we've seen 4, Jacob. I think maybe we see some 5 wide on this restart.
Well, I guess it depends on how good or how bad of a restart somebody at the front of the field has. If somebody misses a shift or is a little slow getting onto the gas, you're going to see, I think, 5 or 6 wide. You know, that last one I thought we were going to see 5 with Mark Rabillas. He got out in front early, but then got eaten alive by the time he got to turn number 1. Be really interested to see how they handle this restart because, you know, this is really it. It's do or die at this point. And yeah, you had the 3 green white checkers. You don't really want to use them, but you don't want to wreck the race car because, again, no fast repairs. You wreck it, you're stuck with it for the remainder of the night. Plus, well, these guys just pitted 7 laps ago, so don't worry about fuel anymore. But it could have had fuel implications as well as far as making it to the end.
Thoughts in 3 words, Eric, before we go green?
Well, I asked the chat over under 5.5 wide on this restart, and almost everyone's taking the over.
Not a bad call right there as Bailey Turner will get us back underway. 3 laps to go here at Pocono. Bailey Turner out by about a car length over Adam Cabot.
Sabile!
Saved it. We stay green. My goodness, how did he save it? Back up front, Bailey Turner leading the field into turn number 1.
That's a pivotal restart. Josh Mendoza says the restart's under review, by the way. But look at Nick Olson, the 24, out of nowhere. Shot out of a cannon on the restart. Only problem is he's the lone driver on the inside. Here comes Adam Cabot, a huge push from Corey Heim. They'll chase Bailey Turner heading for turn 2.
And again, nobody can get to the inside of car number 5, even with the massive draft. That 24 continues to fall back. The field keeps it straight, headed to turn number 3. They'll be coming to 2 laps to go, this time by Colin Fern with a big send into turn number 3 on the bottom. They're 3 wide for P5. They'll keep it straight coming off the corner.
Cabre has to be mindful. He's a playoff driver. He just needs to bring it home with a solid finish. It doesn't need to get lost in all that 3 wide battling. Back up front, Adam Cabot with a run into turn 1. Not going to take the move, though. He'll let push Bailey Turner. 1 car spinning hard to the inside wall into turn 1.
And that looks to be Connor Berry in the 0-2 in trouble. He's in the grass in turn 1, but Josh Mendoza race control will still keep this race green.
More
Another
trouble
car on the back straightaway. That's Presley Sora and Colin Fern involved. They'll save it.
think Reed Wilson had some contact in there as well, but they keep it pointed in the right direction. Connor Berry, by the way, he had a restart violation given to him right before the crash. Not sure if he just gave up and went home or what. Meanwhile, for the lead, coming to the last lap, Bailey Turner out in front looking for his first win in Monday Night Racing. Adam Cabot looking for a championship fight.
Adam Cabot off of the final corner. They'll see the white flag this time, presented by Interstate Batteries. 1 to go here at Pocono. Here comes Corey Heim into the back of Adam Cabot. 3-car tandem into the front of the field as they go to 1 for the final time.
That was a big push by Corey Heim that's going to give Adam Cabot the inside, but does the 51 play against the 17 out of turn 1? Cabot goes loose. They almost make contact. Corey Heim goes to the outside for second. He'll maintain behind Bailey Turner. Cabot left for dust on the final time for turn 2.
Heim does not make the move to try and get by Bailey Turner. He gives him a push. He's out in front by 2 car lengths. Almost contact for third between Cabry and Cabot. Here they come to turn 3 for the final time. Heim to the inside. Gives Bailey Turner the bumper. Moves him out of the way. Will Chase Cabry have a shot? Heim leads off the corner.
And it looks like that is going to do it. A touch to the door, and Corey Heim is going to advance to the championship 4 with the last lap pass on Bailey Turner. He used him up just a little bit, and that was the difference as Corey Heim, your pole sitter, dominated early and finds himself back at the front of the field on the final lap. Corey Heim will be battling for a title in Season 6.
Heartbreak for Leighton Sabile, Blake. Everybody was hitting the wall, it seemed like, coming off turn number 3. He got turned to the inside wall and hit about 2 feet in front of the barrels at the end of pit road wall, tore the front end off the race car. He lost a lot of spots. As if the spin wasn't enough, he will finish 32nd, and that's going to put him with his back against the wall next week at Chicagoland to fight for a championship.
We'll see it one more time. Sabile with late trouble, a playoff driver. That's going to cost him a number of positions. Presley Sora, late trouble as well. He finishes in 23rd. So a lot of late playoff drama here at Pocono, but perhaps none better than that driver right there. Best paint scheme, best driver in the field for tonight. Corey Heim, your winner tonight at Pocono Raceway.
Ties for 5th. Blake on the all-time M&R wins list, and it's hard to believe that this is really his first full-time season in Monday Night Racing. Remember, last season torched the field in some races, but he was only part-time, entered late in the running, and look at the difference a couple of months makes. Corey Heim in the championship 4. He's going to be in Homestead of Miami first, other than everyone else that will have to fight for the other 3 spots at Chicago.
And when we approach the trucks next week at Chicagoland, he will have absolutely nothing to worry about. He can just go there and just race for fun before we move on to the championship round in 2 weeks' time. When we come back, you'll hear from our winner tonight, as well as some others, for the Out of the Groove 200, that Corey Heim is your race winner. We'll be right back.
This is an Interstate battery. More pros trust this than any other out there. Yeah, more pros. More. Even more pros. Keep going. Moss. Look, we're going to run out of time before we run out of pros who like Interstate. I mean, we'll run out of time before we even run out of left-handed pros who knit. These pros are everywhere, which means so is this battery. Right around the corner, up the street. Everywhere. Interstate batteries. Outrageously dependable.
FrontStretch.com, providing up-to-date news, analysis, and commentary on all the latest in the world of motorsports. Check out Front Stretch YouTube page for post-race content after the checker flag waves for most NASCAR events, giving you up-close interviews with your favorite drivers and the stories that matter each weekend. For the best seat of the track and the best view on the web, visit FrontStretch.com.
Get the edge on your competition with P8 Performance Gummies. Formulated specifically for gamers and the esports industry, we packed our gummies with all the good stuff, including ingredients that are clinically proven to help tired eyes, improve reaction times, and help suppress computer vision syndrome. Take your focus and endurance to the next level and try P8 gummies today. Now available at Procelerate.com. Plus, if you're mad about gaming, we're looking to partner with influencers just like you. Drop us a line at support@Procelerate.com to see if you qualify to try our gummies for free. It's officially game on with all new P8 gummies.
Back with you here from Pocono Raceway. A thrilling finish in the Out of the Groove 200. A last lap pass between Corey Heim and Bailey Turner as they slug it out. Heim, we'll talk to him in just a moment. Meanwhile, let's take a look at the rest of the results from tonight's race. Adam Cabot finishes in third behind those top two. Chase Cabry in fourth. Sage Karam rounds out your top five. And Gary Sexton, Nick Olson, David Schildhouse, Joey Padgett, a sneaky little run for that number 83 car, and James Bickford rounds out your top 10. Kenneth.
Ronnie Osmer, who had been fast all race long, settles for an 11th place finish at the checkered flag. Same deal for Reed Wilson, had second for a good majority of the first stint, ends up P12 to end. 13th will go to Max Kennan. Very quiet night out of the 21, but that's where he stands. TJ Cummings got spun near the end of this race, somehow rebounds to 14th at the end of this event. 15th will go to Seminole, Florida's Robbie Lyons for Grit Esports. Colin Fern, who had been up at the front, very aggressive, unfortunately got tallied back to 16th at the wave of the checkered flag. Ryan Vargas struggled in that last run. Playoff driver, I believe, will be under the cut line heading for Chicagoland in a week's time. He finishes 17th. George Balfans Jr. wraps up the night in P18. 19th will go to Brandon Brown in the number 12, and the 53 of Justin Malillo. He'll bring the Traction.GG Ford Mustang home inside the top 20.
21st belongs to Josh Slate. Jordan Buster will finish in 22nd. Presley Sora did not have the finish that he would have liked or needed going into Chicagoland. He's going to need a pretty darn good finish next week to have a shot to fight for a championship. Sora finishing in P23. He's going to be close to the cut line. Mark Urbillis tried the strategy, didn't quite work, but he finishes in P24. Chris Weaver finishes 25th. Stephen Ellis 26th. Steve Affont 27th. Ford Martin 28th. He had some issues tonight as far as on-track incidents. Case Kallenbach finishes 29th. Then Devin Henry rounds out your top 30, Blake.
31st was Brett Baldeck. 32nd, heartbreak for Leighton Sabile, and such a tough break being in the playoffs. He's going to be in a must-win situation next week. Connor Berry 33rd, Michael Massey 34th. Same can be said for Matt Stolnick, who's going to need a win next week from 35th, and Michael Fisher in 36th. Tonight. So every driver completed at least 70 laps tonight, but nobody did it faster than this man, Corey Heim, your race winner, who has caught up with Eric Estep.
From the pole to the top of the podium, Corey Heim, you are locked into the championship four. But before we talk about that, I got to ask you about that last. A lot of shuffling there in the top three. Had to be aggressive there in the final corner, but just take me through your perspective of the final lap there at Pocono.
Yeah, I mean, props to Monday Night Racing. This was a lot of fun coming into this race. I really didn't think that it was going to race like this. I got a little bit of practice last night, and prior to that, I figured it would be a little bit more just spread out and kind of like tire saving and kind of, I don't know, more about just hitting your marks and whatnot. But it ended up being kind of a pack race, as most people saw there. So I didn't really know how to approach the last lap. I've never really had something like this at Pocono, but I was just talking to Adam, and I honestly told him like I would have actually done the same thing. I was thinking about making my move if I was in that position into one and trying to clear second place. And we were all, pretty much tandemed into one, and I kind of pushed them in there and made them make that move. And I kind of thought it was going to work, and I'd hope they would get checked up, but stayed side by side off of two. And then my plan at that point was just push Bailey into the next two corners and see if he could slide up and lose some momentum. And he kind of guarded his entry and went high, so I couldn't do that in 3. So I just drove it in and used him up a little bit. And I thought that was good race there, and he seemed to think so as well. So huge thanks to Elite Performance Industries, Toyota, and Monday Night Racing for everything they do to make this possible. And looking forward to the Championship 4.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun watching that last lap. And you just mentioned it, the Championship 4. You got an extra week to think about it. So what does it mean to be locked into the Season 6 Championship?
That's cool. I mean, I do this for fun. I mean, I come in here and have a good time. And tonight was a lot of fun. Just being up front like we were for most of the night. And, sometimes this league gets frustrating when you get caught behind. And sometimes it's fun. So I just kind of come in here and try to have a good time. And to be able to put that pressure on myself to try to take it all home is pretty cool for me, for sure.
Awesome. And trucks next week at Miami. I guess you're not really racing for anything. So what are you looking forward to there?
Just kind of same thing, just having fun. I mean, that's kind of what I enjoy doing with iRacing, and kind of watching the championship battle play out and trying to kind of stay out of the way for the most part. And I know it's going to be a really good race. There's some really good guys in the bubble and some guys that are in some must-win scenarios. So maybe I can play a factor in that. Just try to stay out of the way of the fight of the championship, but just try to get another win would be great.
Sizing up your competition. I like it. Well, Corey Heim, congratulations on the win tonight at Pocono, and good luck the rest of the way and in the Championship 4.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Awesome stuff. That was Corey Heim, your winner tonight. Back up to you, Blake.
All right, we're going to be joined by our second place finisher. I believe Kenneth Bueno has caught up with the driver, the number 5, Bailey Turner.
Yes, sir, indeed. Bailey Turner, a couple of 100 feet short of his first M&R win, but still a lot of pace and a great race overall, Bailey. But just give us your perspective. What was it like defensively behind the wheel, leading the race in the last couple of laps?
Yeah, Adam Cabot and I had a plan there going. We've been teammates and working together for the last couple of seasons, and we had the 2-car tandem going there, and we're going to stick with each other until, probably turn 2, turn 3 on the last lap to make sure one of us came away with it there. And unfortunately, we all got into, I think 3. I think Corey was pushing Adam so hard into the corner that he just had to dive low not to hit me. And unfortunately, he took himself out of the running. And then I was like, well, I don't have my rear gunner anymore. So kind of just to sit and duck there with this package and how all the runs develop. And Corey had amazing speed all night. And just, I was like, do I go low right here and risk giving up my right rear where, that was the one thing you didn't want to do all race, or risk him throwing a slider in there on the last lap? And sure enough, he did that and got me up into the marbles. And, at that point, no grip, and definitely not wanting to take him out or take anybody else out. Just unfortunate, though. I was really hoping we'd pull it off here and get that first M&R win. But it's a little bit of good momentum going into the next race.
For sure, good momentum, and you're the only playoff driver to finish this race in the top 3. Corey Heim, Adam Cabot are part of the playoffs. Did that ever occur to you in your mind that you were racing playoff competition? Did you ever have that in factor, or was it just like any other Monday night, just racing the competition around you?
Yeah, you definitely take it into account and look at who's around you. I remember specifically at the start of the race, I got real tight under Presley and was about 2 inches away from wrecking him. So I'm really glad that we didn't get into it there. And yeah, like you said, just being careful around these guys. Obviously, they're going for something a little bigger than I am at the moment. I'm just trying to go for wins. But it definitely felt like these non-playoff guys. A few of us have definitely gotten used up over the last few weeks from playoff guys. So you definitely keep a record book of who's kind of wronged you throughout the season or in the playoffs, and kind of determines how you're going to race them going forward.
Well, next week, trucks at Chicagoland Speedway in Joliet, Illinois. Any thoughts or expectations about that race?
It probably sounds like another pack race until the tires start to wear out a little bit, but usually high tire wear. So hopefully that comes into effect and we can get spread out and get a little off-throttle time and have some fun.
It was a lot of fun watching you out on track at Pocono here this evening. Bailey, on behalf of our entire broadcast team, congratulations on the second place finish, and we'll see you at Chicagoland next week.
Thank you, guys.
Bailey Turner short of the race win, but trust me, we saw his full potential even as a non-playoff driver in tonight's race. We'll have a chance to talk with his teammate, the driver who comes home in P3, Jacob Hitz. You're caught up with Adam Cabot.
Adam Cavett coming home P3 tonight, and there was a moment where I thought you were in the right place at the right time, and then Corey Heim abandoned you at the altar, and you were left all alone. Take us through that last lap.
Yeah, that's a pretty good metaphor right there. Man, there's a lot to unpack after that one. Bailey Turner and I, we had some shake and bake action going on all race long. We were really working together well, and I was leading for a while there, and he was just kind of just pushing me on the straights, keeping us all single file because it was like pretty much impossible to make a pass on the bottom without pulling a huge slider on someone. So if the race stayed green, which is just, kind of what I feel like I'm saying every week in Monday Racing, if the race stayed green, we had him tonight for sure. I feel like I was the car to beat, hit 2 laps later than everyone else, thinking I was probably going to come out like maybe 4 seconds or so behind everyone. Only came out 2 seconds, and I just caught everyone super quick, with just being patient, working my way through them. And of course, caution has to come out, but those restarts at the end were intense. And Bailey and I, we were timing the restarts together. Even though I was in third, I was pretty much determining when he was restarting. I was just coming up right behind him, and I told him when I hit your bumper, that's when you go. So, we were able to clear Corey, and we were trying to settle it between the two of us. And it's tough for me because I'm always, especially this is a really important race for me, home race or home track, trying to get a win to get in the championship for. But at the same time, Bailey's done so much for me in my iRacing career. I really want to see him get his first win, so I wasn't going to give it to him, but I was going to try to push him for as long as I could, and maybe try to make a move coming out of turn 3 or when I knew that it was going to be one of us winning it. But Corey was smart, and he got, as I was pushing Bailey, he got right on my bumper, and we kind of just had a 3-car tandem going down the front stretch. And I didn't want to make my move under Bailey going into one, but I let off the gas and got on the brakes, and Corey was on my bumper. So Corey basically just pushed me below him, which was a smart move for him. And once I got below Bailey, I knew my race was over. I was just hoping that Bailey would be able to hold on, but unfortunately, Corey gave him a little boot and scoot going to turn 3 and got him as well. So it's tough when you run so well, especially in a race this important to not come away with the win, or at least not get Bailey his first win. But it was a fun race, and hopefully next week can just seal the deal, get the points I need, and join Corey in the final 4.
Well, coming out of this race, you're atop the point standings. What do you have to do going into next week at Chicagoland? You're only up by, if my math is correct,
this will determine
17.
7. Okay, well, if your math's correct, which I really hope it is, because that's a way bigger number than I thought it would be. I heard you're not good at math. Is that true? I don't know.
That is very true. But okay, you've got 849. Yeah. Presley Sora is the first car out. He's got 832.
All right. Well,
and he is 17 behind you according to this math. So.
All right. I think your math checks out this time. I think you're good, Jacob. I guess I just need to have a, kind of what I did last week. Just nothing crazy. Maybe top 10, top 5. I mean, it can get a little bit weird with people, maybe behind us in points. If Presley won the race or something and he leapfrogged in. So you kind of have to be cognizant when you get down to just 4 spots remaining that you don't think you're good on points when you're really not. So I'll definitely take a look at the points, figure out who's where, and kind of try to adapt during the race based on what's going on. But I mean, I feel like I don't know why I just kind of knew all chase that this was going to be the track that I was going to be tough to beat at. So like I said, unfortunate not to get the win tonight, but no reason why I can't win next week and get in that way as well. So we'll give it a shot. Big shout out to Atlas Hair Products for sponsoring me for 2nd consecutive season. We're gonna get him a championship this year. That's what I've been telling everyone. We're gonna bring home that championship. We're gonna become the first 2-time Monday Racing champion.
All right, Adam. Well, thanks for your time. Best of luck next week, and we'll see you from Homestead. No, not Homestead. Where are we?
Chicago.
Chicago.
You got the math right, but not the track, but that's all right.
Yeah, and I thought I was good at geography. Oh well. Thanks, Adam.
All right, thanks, guys.
Blake, please take it away.
Thank you, Jacob. And man, what a race we saw here at Pocono tonight. I know we saw Pocono out of the chat enjoying the race, and I know everybody up here in the broadcast booth certainly enjoyed it. I hope everybody out there watching on YouTube, on Twitch, wherever you were taking in this race that you enjoyed it as well. It was great fun for all of us, including the drivers. I'm sure a few tippers, I'm sure, after a race that was that intense, but nevertheless, I think we can all hold our heads high after that one here at Pocono tonight. So without further ado, I'll say thank you on behalf of our entire broadcast team, Ryan Bauer down in the virtual production trailer, Eric Eastep, Kenneth Bueno, and Jacob Hitz. I'm Blake McCandless saying so long to Pocono, but hello to the Front Stretch post-race show that has more continuing coverage of the Out of the Groove 200. Guys?
Thanks, Blake. Welcome, guys, to the FrontStretch.com post-race show. If you're new here, I'm Brandon Hoff. That is Michael Massey. We are live here after the Pocono Monday Night Racing event. Congrats to Corey Heim. Just a little intro for our new viewers. As I said, my name is Brandon Hoff. I am a former Coke driver on iRacing. I currently do iRacing content here for FrontStretch.com. Been doing Monday Night Racing content here for 2 seasons now, I think. Been doing iRacing content for 2 years. Looking forward to doing more this season. Helping out maybe with the Coke series, doing more Monday Night Racing content. And Mike here. Mike, you want to tell the viewers a little bit about yourself here?
Sure, driver of the number 27. Usually it's the Front Stretch Chevrolet, but tonight it was the Pocono Raceway.
Yes.
And man, that thing was a beauty, designed by Jared Haas. Last time I gave a paint scheme of his a shout out, I didn't mention his name, so Jared Haas. Jared Haas.
There you go, Jared. You got your shout out.
Yeah, so I'm also the content director over at Front Stretch. And be sure to check out frontstretch.com for all your racing motorsports news, including a recap and columns and stuff about tonight's race, which was a thrilling race at Pocono. Corey Heim got the W.
Yeah.
It looked like Bailey Turner was going to win it for a little bit. I kind of thought he had it. My understanding, obviously, I'm behind the wheel, so it's hard for me to tell what exactly happened, but would Bailey have had it if a late caution didn't come out? Is that?
It's tough to say. I mean, Bailey was doing a great job. I have to give it to him. He wasn't really near the front a lot of the night. I know he was fast enough, but this was such a track position race, it felt like, because it was so tough to pass after about, 4 or 5 laps, just because the whole field was kind of even, they're within 2/10 of each other pretty much. So, he was doing a great job once he got out front. If the caution, it's tough to say, if he would have kept it. He might have. I thought Corey was the strongest car all night. He had a phenomenal race. I mean, he was top 3 the entire night. At the beginning of the race, we saw him. I forgot who else was in the top 2 there, but they broke away from the field. And then, they had the long green flag run and he was still up there. But, Bailey needed 1 corner. That's all he needed. It's unfortunate, he kind of got bullied out of the way there in the last corner, but you got to do what you got to do. He still finished second, though, so he had a great race.
Yeah, and maybe the win could have helped him feel a little better about his 49ers taking the L yesterday. But,
you won't hear me say "Go Birds" ever, never. You never will.
Yeah, still a good run. Good race. I was up there. I don't know. I was fluctuating between the low 20s and high 30s, whatever. Yeah. I played a strategy. They had that long run, and before that long run started, I topped off with gas. So did several others: Justin Malillo, Mark Rabillis, several of us. So we ran it long, and didn't take tires that time either. So by the time that fuel run ran out, my tires were gone. And,
they're bad. They were bad.
To the point where the lead pack actually passed me for position, on the track while I was still milking it out there. And Corey Heim might have rudely asked if there was a minimum speed while he was passing me, because that's how.
Oh, I didn't hear that. Oh,
how far my tires were gone. But but it would have worked out perfectly because the caution came out right after I pitted. Everybody else pitted, but I decided I didn't want to do what Mark stayed out, went for it in the front row. I didn't want to try to do that. I just figured it'd be a pile up. It'd be
that was wild, man. That was wild.
Yeah.
They were 5 wide into turn 1. And I was spotting Nick. And Nick was literally, I just kept saying top of 5, and then top of 4, top of 3, top of 4. Like, it's crazy. That was I would say that was a game-changing restart or a race-changing restart. Mark did a good job getting out of the way. I will say that. You know, I'm glad there wasn't a wreck up front because that had when that happened, I thought there was a recipe for disaster because old tires and no, Mark's a good driver. You know, Mark has his moments, but I thought tonight with old tires and all that and the way you were slipping and sliding, it was gonna be bad. But kudos to everybody. It was a fairly clean race, I would say. We had our fair share of wrecks, but
well, I ended up getting caught up in something at the very end where
oh, you got caught up in the late. Oh, okay.
We were about 4. It was a restart, about 4 or 5 wide, something in there. Matt Stallneck got to my outside, and Michael Fisher had a run on both of us, and he went to go inside Stallneck. Stallneck blocked him, and right on into me. So I was the one that got taken out of that. I think Fisher got damaged. I don't know whose fault it was between those two. Both of them were driving way too aggressively for 30th position. And I think there needs to be a new stat. I love Matt Stallneck to death. He's a great guy. We've had him on here. But I got to give him a little crap here. There needs to be a new stat on podium for the races that counts how many blocks, how many awful blocks. It'd be like the Darlington Stripes thing where you're up to like 60 or whatever.
That's hilarious, honestly. Oh, man. Matt had a rough race. I know he hit the wall early in the race, and that kind of just ruined everything, but I didn't personally see the blocks. You saw it more than me. I'll take your word for it that it was a bad block or a couple of bad blocks, but that's one of the playoff drivers too. Matt needed a good night, and unfortunately, didn't turn out the way he needed, but it sounds like it was kind of his own doing at the end there, or whatever it was.
Depends on who you ask, I guess.
I guess so, yeah. It always does. You always get 2 sides of the story. But if we talk about the playoffs for a minute, actually, we have kind of 2 sides of it now after looking at the points. I believe they're being worked on right now as we speak, but oh, there they are. Okay, never mind. They're up. That was quick. We see Corey locked himself in, so he'll be racing for a championship at Homestead. You see the 2 guys I want to bring up here, Adam and Chase. We'll actually be having Chase on in a little bit, but they're, I won't say comfortable, but they got a fairly good margin. Joey's got 6 points on Presley, but those 2, if I'm Adam and Chase, I would just focus literally. You get top 10s both races, or next week, I should say.
Yeah.
You're going to be fine, I think. As long as one of those guys, Presley or Ryan or Leighton or Matt, if they don't win, even Joey, I think they're in a good spot. But, we know Presley. He can win anywhere. We've seen Vargas have good runs. Leighton, Matt's been sneaky good all year. It's gonna be interesting next week. I'll say that. But good races though for those top 3 there. I think they got exactly what they needed. They all finished top 5. Of course, Corey with the win, but it was all around. That's exactly what you want for the start of a round.
My understanding is it would have been a little tighter. Maybe even Presley would have been ahead of Paget. But at the end, just from what I've heard, I can't. I've only heard one side of the story. I heard that Colin Fern might have given Presley Sora a little tap there at the end, and he lost some spots because of that. And if you remember, if you've been watching our program for a while, you remember when Colin Fern was on here, he had Presley on a certain list of his that he rattled off, saying he'd get him back at some point. So I wonder if tonight was payback. But just interesting to see. During the playoffs where it matters most is that when we'll have to see what Colin has to say.
Listen, I don't know what happened. I'm just reading and I'm hearing what you're saying and what everybody else is saying, but we know how Colin is. He doesn't go against his word really ever. We'll have to see what happens with that, but yeah, it's unfortunate what happened to Presley. But if there's anyone in this league that can recover from something like that, a late race incident and being behind the 8 ball, it's probably him. And next week with Trucks at Chicago, it's a pretty straightforward race, I guess you could say, because it's run on iRacing Official Series a lot. And I know that's what Presley runs a lot. And Presley's really good at that stuff. So, I'm not going to call him the favorite to win next week. But I'm just saying, if you're in that top 4, if you're probably Joey more so than Chase or Adam, you better watch out. That's all I'm going to say, because I think Presley's going to be dangerous.
Yeah, he's one that could get that walk-off win, and you don't want to be sitting, resting on your laurels in fourth in points.
No,
you need a little buffer. Go out there and get the dub yourself.
Yeah, no, definitely, and of course, a win like Corey got tonight. A win just erases any pressure going into the last race. But moving on, I think we're gonna be joined by one of our guests tonight. I believe our first one will be Chase Cabry. He finished 4th tonight, had a really stout race. I know he didn't start up front, but drove his way through the field. Came home with the top 5, and as I said, he's got a 14-point buffer now over Presley. I believe we have him. There he is.
There he is.
How we doing tonight, Chase?
Up? I'm doing good. Do I need to move my camera and make it look better? Look at that.
I think we're good. We see
thought you were going for like a dramatic, side angle. I don't know.
Whatever. Oh, wait. One's over here, one's over there. I'm all messed up. Let me fix this. All right.
No problem.
You're all good. We see you.
We got you. We hear you. We see you. That's all that really matters, right?
Talk about your race tonight, Chase. You've got a top 5, as I said. I know we were talking off camera a little bit. Good finish. You're pretty comfortable on points, I guess I would say. How are we feeling going into next week?
I just learned that it's the truck. I thought it was the Xfinity car. So it's the truck at Chicago, which, as you said, Brandon, I think it's going to be another draft track. Tonight was really, really fun, but really, really frustrating at the same time. Just because you could build runs, and as you built the run and you did everything you could do, if you pulled down, you were done. So you had to try to be really smart, and I did. I kind of got myself into trouble as once I got up to the lead, me and Adam started racing each other super, super hard. So it allowed him to eventually be in the right position when 3rd place got caught up, and then it shuffled me back to 4th, and I felt like I was 4th for the remainder of the race. It just was so difficult to try to push around people, or the only option you had is if they decided to make the move to the bottom and you ended up following along the top side of them. So I tried to do everything I could do to get a better finish. I thought coming to the line that I was actually going to have a shot at running 2nd, but I mean, literally, you see it, Adam gets to my right rear, and I'm just dead in the water. So, not a bad race, but could have been better.
Yeah, for sure. It was wild. If you went side by side with somebody for a while, then
my camera's falling.
You lost the pack.
Dang, there we go. Now it's not falling. I don't have to hold it.
There we go.
Apologize.
Gotta get the angles right.
Yeah, dude. I'm a camera guy, but can't figure out how to operate a camera.
Yeah, you know your camera stuff, so I think you're good.
All good. But yeah, it was true. If you race somebody for too long tonight, you would lose the pack if you battle with them too long. But had you ever experienced a race like that at Pocono, where it's pretty much a pack race? Other than a practice races we've done for this.
Not really. I mean, it was, like I said, damn, it was frustrating. I feel like a lot of these races in the Monday night deal I'm learning are more and more draft tracks. I counted it, and there's 7 of the last 12 races that we've run have all been heavily draft track. So, yeah, it's super almost frustrating at times. I mean, I'm having a blast. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I don't like the league. I'm loving it. I'm having a great time doing it. But it's frustrating for sure, just because like there's so much draft involved at each and every place. It's like, the opportunities when draft isn't involved, you have to really take advantage of those, like I did at Twin Ring and I did at Richmond, to be able to try to win a race, to lock in, to make it easier for yourself, because we're going to trucks at Chicagoland next week, and it's another draft track, and one slip of somebody and I could be upside down, flipped out of the ballpark, and I'm out of the four. So yeah, we'll have to go into next week. I think, like you said, what is it, 14 you said?
Yeah, you're 14 up.
So if one of those guys wins a race, I'm 6 up on Paget. So even if like Leighton or one of those guys were to win the race, if I finish 6 or better, then I lock in, I think. So
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, something. So I just gotta play my cards right next week.
Yeah, for sure. And that's tough to do at a track, like a draft heavy track at Chicago, right? I mean, how can you play it safe, but also be up on the wheel trying to make the runs and stuff like that? How do you find that balance?
Hell, I don't know. If I could figure it out, I'd figure out how to operate around Daytona and Talladega. I feel like I'm great up until turns 3 and 4, and then I'm flipped upside down. So, yeah, I that's gonna be something I'm gonna have to like figure out going into next week, and figure out how to do it. Hopefully, it's like you said, it's in the daytime, so it's less grip, and tire wear comes into play. I hope that comes in. I hope that happens. And then I'm sure it will after 10 to 15 laps. But yeah, I mean, I felt safe tonight, as in once the race started going, I felt safe, as I ran out of talent in qualifying, so I had to start 22nd because I hit the fence on my money lap. And then I was just like praying there wasn't going to be an early caution. I could just try to bounce as fast as I could to the front. And in that first run, I got to 4th or 3rd. I think, yeah, 4th, and then caution come out, and the restarts were sketchy tonight, just because Pocono's so wide, and you can get so spread out. So not bad. Next week, I think it's just gonna be, you got to do what you got to do to be up front. Hopefully, it's like this week, to where it does involve a little bit of like raw speed with the drafting, so you can kind of get like a front pack breakaway instead of just everybody together.
Yeah, definitely. And my own experience on iRacing, I mean, in years past, it didn't matter. The last 3 years, Chicagoland's been all draft in the trucks. It's literally been like Talladega for at least 15, 20 laps. But that's, they added the night feature on iRacing, so that's a little bit different than the daytime, as we spoke of. But let's say, Chase, how mindful are you going to be about, where your fellow points competitors are going to be running next week? Let's say you're running, 10th to 15th there. How do you, and you got, let's say Presley or somebody like that is running 3rd or 4th, and they got a chance to win. How do you manage, trying to keep yourself out of trouble and maybe just getting a good finish if you can't get up there, versus, hey, I got to get up there?
He's still here.
Did we lose him?
Might have some technical.
Oh, we might have lost him. I was anxious to hear his answer there.
He just really didn't like your question.
He didn't like my question, man.
Hello?
Oh, there he is. We got his audio. There he is.
I thought Brandon said something he didn't like.
Yeah, nah.
I don't know if you heard what I asked.
I heard it all. I mean,
Okay.
I think you just got to go. Like, I think no matter what, you have to go. I don't think you can ride around and wait and pray that someone doesn't win the race or something. Like, I think you got to create your own destiny. I've always thought that way, like in all racing. I don't want to wait for someone to push me. I want to try to do it myself. If I do luck into a couple things, like we got lucky tonight, I think for sure. There was a couple instances where I could have been backwards and junked, and been like in a must-win scenario going into a draft track. I would have been stressing. So, yeah, I'm pretty comfortable where I'm at, being 14. up. Like Presley did win Daytona. Obviously, he's pretty good at these, like plate racing almost. And I think, like you said, 10 to 15 laps on tires. Then it starts to spread out where we're probably gonna have a green white checkered. We're probably gonna have those 10 to 15. So I'd like to be positioned in a place where I can feel like I'm not gonna get junked. And yeah, maybe it's not going for the win, but just going for the safest route. But up inside the top 5, I would like to be for sure.
It seems like there's two different kinds of drivers. There's those that want to hear the point situation as the race is playing out for a cutoff race, and then there's those that are like, "Don't tell me. I'm just gonna do my own thing." Which are you?
I mean, I was even asking the guys that I was in Discord with tonight. I was like, "Hey, how many am I good? How many?" Like White Flag came out. I'm like, "How many to the good am I? How many?" Just because I needed to know if I really needed to pass Adam. Like, was that a make it or break it for me? If I passed him, was it gonna do something crazy for me? So, they told me that I was like way to the good, and like they said, I think like 13 or 12 or something. So I knew I was okay. And with that, I was like, if I could sneak a position, I will. I'm not gonna chance it. And then when I looked in my mirror and I saw like nobody was around us, it was literally a 4-car breakaway. I mean, yeah, they were probably 5 tenths back, 6 tenths back, but that's not in striking distance. So I tried to make the move around him in the tunnel turn on the outside, and I ended up clearing him. But yeah, I think ultimately, like, I'd like to know. I like to know what I can do and what I can't do, and when I need to push and not. So I'll be paying attention to the points every single lap, probably.
Sure, for sure.
I can relate, I guess. If I was if I was in this, I would probably want to know where my competitors are. Like, I feel like if you're racing up front, especially, I mean, of course you can control your own destiny at that point, but you'd like to know where the guys are so you know how hard you have to push. If like you have to win if you're fourth or third versus, hey, you got guys right around you. It's like if you can't go any further, you're good here. But versus if somebody that can pass you is leading the race, it's like you got to go get them. It's like I like to know.
Gosh, we got contact made over here.
We had contact on the track, and now we got contact post race.
My camera just had a 4x.
Incident free until the post race.
That's right.
20 minutes after the race, so almost made it.
Yeah, no, I mean, like I agree with you, yeah, for sure. And it's funny, this league like turned in. At first, it was like my buddy's like, "Hey, man, you should sign up for this." Like, all right, whatever. So I sign up, and then I start like looking into it. And I'm like, "Oh man, this thing's pretty sick." Like, it's got a pretty good following, like really good drivers, like guys who I see every week in the garage area. Like, and then I signed up, and then I was like talking to Corey about it at the truck races, and I'm like, "Man, this is gonna be pretty cool. It's gonna be pretty fun." So I ran we ran the first race, and then going into Twin Ring, I was like, Arca car is by far my best car. I think it's because when I was racing Arca and K&N, I made like a million laps in those things at every track we were going to. So I have a ton of laps in them. And so I knew that was a place that I could win. Then I won, and I'm like, now it's like, I look forward to it every Monday. So now I'm like, man, now I just keep talking about it. All right, I'm this to the good. I can make Final Four. Like so overboard now. Like it's almost, I'm gonna miss it when it's done.
Yeah, for sure. I think we all, because it's gonna be a longer break this time too.
Yeah.
Was there any point tonight where we'll kind of send you out on this, but was there any point tonight where you heard the spotter say, you're in the middle of 5 wide, or it's something like that? Because some of those restarts, like I thought there was 2 people on my outside at one point. There was like a whole nother lane. Did you ever find yourself in any of those positions and you were like, oh no, like this ain't gonna work?
Yeah, I was actually just talking about it with Adam, with who's on the pole, Mark, and when he was on the pole coming to 8 to go, I said, there's a really good chance we get wadded up right here. And I was really praying not. And so we went off in the corner, and I just went to the wall. Like, I saw people breaking down. And I knew if you can just hold people's right rear quarter panel, like, dead, they're done. So I just went to the wall, and Adam went too, and then we came off, and I just started pushing him, and I like looked left, and because I get the triple monitor deal, so I look left, and I'm like, shit, man, this is gonna be, and literally my friend comes and goes, this is gonna be big, and I was like, yeah, I know, but yeah, no, I mean, there was multiple times where I looked over and I was like, goodness gracious, we're 4 or 5 wide. I don't run a spotter. I don't even have anybody in Discord spotting for me, nor do I use the iRacing one. So it's all up to me looking left and right.
Wow.
That's impressive. I will say that.
Well, you even use the iRacing one.
It's delayed.
Okay.
I think it's
annoying too.
Yeah, you got a car on you inside, still there, like over and over. I'm like, dude, I got it. And then, yeah, and the virtual mirror is like so good. You can see everything out of that thing. So, I mean, even when I was in real life, I told my spotters like, hey, don't worry about my insides. Like, don't ever call inside. I can always see it. I have my left side mirror and the right side mirror or the top mirror, you can't see anything out of. So I was like, clear me outside. Other than that, just feed me lap times and call like a normal race. But yeah, I wasn't really. I don't know why. I think it's because I come from like dirt sprint cars stuff where I don't like hearing people in my ear. Like when you're racing that, it's just balls to the wall as hard as you can go. And I grew up doing that, so I'm like, I can't stand it.
That makes sense. That actually is a good point. I wonder how many dirt guys think like that. It's like they come over to pavement, and now it's like they got somebody talking in their ear constantly, whether it's the crew chief, spotter,
gosh, like ridiculous amount.
Yeah, and now you dirt guys aren't used to that. You guys are used to running these sprint races, whether it's heats, qualifying, hot laps, and then the race. The feature's only like 30, 40 laps normally.
Yeah,
You're done in like 5 minutes, 10 minutes.
Yeah, the only thing you got is like the only form of spotting you got is a guy standing down in the corner pointing to go to the top or go to the bottom. Sometimes it's that makes it really tough, but yeah, I come from that, so I don't like hearing chatter in my ear, so I just run everything off and just pay attention to the virtual mirror.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
That's impressive though, I will say. But congratulations, Chase, on your 4th place finish tonight. You got a, like I said, pretty comfortable margin, I would say, going into Chicago next week. We wish you the best of luck, and we'll hopefully, talk to you maybe next week or the finale.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
I'll see you.
See you. That was Chase Cabery, 4th place finisher tonight. I think he's got a good chance next week as well. I was talking about, about Presley having the iRacing official experience, how Chicago's always run with the trucks. Chase has been on iRacing for a while, so he's got a lot of experience with that as well. I feel confident about him advancing to the finale. I guess we'll see, but I think he's confident. He's been great all year for his first season, so it's going to be exciting for him.
I think he makes it as long as, he keeps the 4 tires.
Yeah.
Nothing happens to him. Keeps all 4 tires on the track. I think he's got a pretty good shot. But you never know. You get caught up in something just like that. So, I don't know, tune in to watch next week to see if he makes it or not.
Yeah, there you go. That's the best way to put it. Just tune in next week and we'll see. But I feel good about it. But anyway, moving on. I believe our next guest had another good run tonight. Ran top 10 pretty much all race. I was actually racing with him in the practice race last night a bunch. Gary Sexton, P6 tonight. How about that, Gary? Good race for you.
Yeah, we finally got a clean race in. It was it's been a wild season for me, not in a good way. Just getting a lot of crashes, a lot of misfortune. Just kind of being patience really hurt me this season. I was not patient tonight. I was very aggressive and kept me up front. Usually I'm letting guys by. I'll try to give up a few spots and save tires, and then I get run over by somebody. So yeah, it was really nice to finally have a race that was clean and everything fell our way. No weird cautions came out or anything when we had a pit cycle. So everything went smooth, and we finished about where I think we should finish normally most weeks. So look forward to finishing out the season strong.
Yeah, for sure. The way this race, you really could play defense if you wanted to. Say if you just stayed up high, Is that kind of what you were doing? Was just keeping outside so you'd have that run off the corner?
Yeah, like you couldn't pass on the bottom unless someone really made a mistake off the corner. Like obviously as the run went on, you could get better runs as guys were getting loose. But yeah, early in the run, you just hung on the top and just pin guys down. I mean, guys are getting upset about it, but like that's what you have to do, because if you go to the bottom or you let somebody by, there's going to be a train of people that want in, and that's what happened to me at Richmond when we wrecked with David. It was just like I was up in like 6th place. I let one guy by, and then just a constant conveyor belt of cars that fell all the way to 20th, and then trying to get in behind David, we net coded and he went head on the wall. So it's like, I hate to have to race that way, though I enjoy it. Like I enjoy that. I don't know why Pocono gets such a bad rep. I love racing there. I think it's a lot of fun. You really gotta really plan out your moves. You're not like wheeling it the whole time. Though tonight we were wheeling it pretty good. We had a pretty good setup, but having to think about what you're gonna do, be patient. You had guys like the 41 just going all out right at the beginning of the race, diving under people and throwing, and it's just like he's either gonna crash or he's gonna wear out his tires, and both happened. So
I was gonna say, poor Matt's been thrown under the bus now twice this episode.
I'll tell you the idea I had earlier in the show, Gary. Since you run Podium, they should start a tracker on Podium that tracks the bad blocks that Matt throws throughout the race, like the Darlington Stripe tracker.
Yeah. We need a sponsor for it. I think who would be a good sponsor for that.
I can't think of one off the top of my head, but I'm sure we could think of one over the week.
Something to do with blocks.
Those people are or like
presented by Ryan Newman. Hard to pass.
All tell.
All tell. There you go. So Gary, you like I said, you had a really good race tonight. Looked fun out there. And we were talking about the whole single. It was kind of single groove, unfortunately, because you couldn't really pass on the bottom. How frustrating is it? Because I don't know how long you've been on iRacing, but I know in the past, iRacing's old tire model used to be, you used to be able to run the top, used to be able to run the bottom. And as recent as, about a year ago, Pocono had a grip strip at the top where I think it was turn 1. You run the top, you run the bottom, easily pass. How frustrating is that though? Like, you literally have to stay committed to one line. You get a run on somebody, can't really take it, but you maintain your track position pretty well all night, it seemed like, and managing all that.
Yeah, I think for me, the frustrating part is not that I can't pass or that I have to, that it's one groove. The frustrating part is everyone around me not like just taking a breath for a second and not trying to, like, I know everyone thinks that they have to get all they can right off the start because like, oh, it's so hard to pass. It really actually becomes much easier to pass if you just chill and save your tires and you let everyone else do their thing, and then everyone starts sliding around and you can get good runs off on the front stretch. Or I think the best place to pass for me was either the outside 3-4, outside 1, or backing way up on the into the tunnel turn and just like getting a huge run off into the short shoot. So for me, the frustrating part is less about like not being able to pass, because I kind of I know like multi-groove racing is great, and it'll hopefully it comes back someday to iRacing. I was on the sim before we had the new tire model and stuff, and it was a lot of fun. But this is just the way we have to race right now, and I have fun. Like I have fun trying to figure out what the next move is going to be. Like I like playing chess and stuff, and it's the cliche thing. It's like a chess game though. You have to be ready to give up a little bit, maybe, to knowing that you're going to be able to get that back later on. Granted, sometimes in this league it's hard to predict a green flag run, but generally late in the season, we start having really clean races here. So I figured, after the practice race last night, we ran green for quite a while, and there was a good chunk of people in there. That it may work itself out, and it kind of did. And I just took my time at the beginning, knowing that we had a really long race. 80 laps is a long race at Pocono. I'm kind of, I don't know if I wanted that cautions late or not. Like, I was kind of feeling pretty good about where we were. I think I finished a little bit higher up with the restarts and stuff than I probably would have if it stayed green. But yeah, like once those cautions came out, like then it kind of switched for me. I was just like, if I restart on the bottom, I'm going to try to get all I can through one without spinning myself out, and then just do everything I can to get back to the top. If not, if I start on the top, I'm going to try and pass as many people as I can going through one, and see what happens. And fortunately, that last restart, I think we restarted 10th and we finished 6th. So good stuff.
That's that high side coming in clutch. Were you mindful at all of the playoff drivers? Was that a thought going through your head tonight, or was it just, hey, I'm here to run my own race?
I definitely, if I was in their spot, I would want to be raced a certain way. But I, just like all of us here, we raced. We were all non-playoff drivers for the first half, for the first part of the season, and I've got a list of guys that race me a certain way, and
everybody's got a list.
I have nothing to lose. They have everything to lose, so they can continue to race that way, or they can yield the positions. I'm not gonna turn somebody on purpose. I'm gonna do everything I can to not make contact. But knowing, as a non-playoff guy, outside of a few, like, I'm gonna race you because I'm here. I'm still chasing my first win in this league. I've had some really brutal losses that still haunt me every Monday night. With, especially on the dirt when we were running dirt tracks and stuff. Like, I'm sure you guys know, like, I've dominated those, just have been taken out by something stupid, or we were in the super late miles at Michigan. We were passing Kyle Busch in turn 3 on the last lap, and we ran out of fuel because we didn't fill the tank up. And it's just like, so that's always in the back of my head. Like, if I'm up in the top 5 and I have a shot to stay up there, I'm gonna, like, I feel like I race with a lot of respect. I let guys go, but you never seem to get it back. So tonight I didn't let as many guys go. Early on I did, but it's just, do I think about it? Yeah, of course, but they have more to lose than I do in that situation. So I put the ball in their court to make the decision that they feel they have to make.
I feel like that's how most drivers feel that are non-playoff guys. I feel like they think, the ball is in their court. They can decide how they race you, and that's how they'll get raced back. But some guys, they'll say, I don't care your position, I'll race you as hard as you can. Yeah. You're gonna take it whether you like it or not. But go ahead. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I like, my personal etiquette on the track is, if you catch me, I'm gonna, depending on the track, like okay, tonight at Pocono, if you've caught me, right, like you've ran me down, or we're there, you get a run, you get to my inside, I'm not just like, I'm gonna try and see if I can maintain that. And most times, the first time you do, but if you come back and you catch me again, then I'm letting you go. And I think you can ask anybody I raced around tonight, like that was the case until it was late in the race, and then it was just, obviously you have to do all you can to keep your spot. But yeah, so
yeah, definitely.
Now we do this show and we don't get to check the chat and all that stuff. Are you mad at anybody? Is anybody mad at you?
I'm not mad at anybody. I think like I said, the 41, he clowned himself a little bit tonight. But that's what's new. Just kidding, Matt.
You know, we appreciate any beef you have with anybody on this show. So anything you got.
Someone chirped at me. I think it was Paget. He was chirping at me. He's like, "Oh, awfully aggressive for whatever." And I was like, I mean, I guess like I said, like, you know, I've been respectful all year. Like I don't, you got a line of cars behind you. I'm not about to just like let all them pass me. I don't, you know, I know you're in the playoffs right now. So take it if you want it. Spin me out. Like, do what you're gonna do. You know, like do it or don't. That's, you know, I'm not gonna hit him. I'm not gonna door him. I'm gonna just gonna race. Like I have fun. Like I'm trying to have fun too. You know, like I feel really not like a chip on my shoulder, but like I went 2 rounds in the playoffs last season. I made the playoffs first season. I felt like I should have been in the playoffs. Like I came up a few points short, even after the disastrous season I had. You know, if I would have made it to this round, this run would have been really, really solid for my case. And we have 2 really good tracks for me coming up. So it's just like, man, you know. But beef, no, I try to not have too much beef just because I help run the league and it's, you know, it's better not to, but there's definitely a list of guys I keep right here on my dashboard that I know how to, you know, I'm just kidding. But
I believe you. I believe you had it.
No, I know. It's just it's not actually on my dashboard. I have a pretty good memory. But but yeah, no, I think everything was good. For me, I like I said, there might be some people mad at me. I know David won't talk to me, so after Richmond. But is what it is, I guess. You know. Anyway, but yeah, that was my race in a nutshell.
Yeah. Well, good. Congrats on the good run. Thanks for joining us. I'll send you out on this one. Have you got your Super Bowl tickets yet?
No. Unfortunately, unless I, you know, get an opportunity to go some other way, I don't know if I'll be buying Super Bowl tickets anytime soon. You know, especially like I feel like if I was going to buy tickets to Super Bowl to see the Eagles play, it would have been the first time that they went. That I would be like, I guess they've been to the Super Bowl twice since I've been alive. Yeah. So, the first time I was in, I don't know, 11th grade, I think, or something. So I probably wouldn't have been able to go then. It would have been the first. Yeah, it would have been the first time in 17, the 17 season that would have felt cooler to go to. They're just so good this time around that like it's like, man, I wouldn't want to spend all that money just because I know they're gonna win. So it's like, you know.
Hey now.
Look. I mean, we can lay it out on paper. Yes, Kansas City has a great team, great quarterback, Travis Kelce, great, but not Kittle. That was the team we just steamrolled.
Kelce,
Kelce. Yeah, Kelce. And Mahomes. Who else you guys got? Like, there's no.
I'm not a Chiefs fan. You guys whooped our butt. I'm a Giants fan, man.
Oh, that's right.
You take someone off the street and make them look like a good receiver.
This is true, but they haven't seen a defense like the Eagles have. Their defense hasn't seen an offense like the Eagles have. I mean, like if the Eagles are doing well and the Giants are going like out of the NFC East teams, like I can tolerate the Giants the most.
Thank you.
For some reason.
I can appreciate that.
Everyone else no. But yeah, Packers, I like the Packers a lot.
Thank you.
But they're
gonna lose Aaron.
Yeah, I mean, I wish these guys would just put it away, just like park it, you know, like I hope
make up your mind. Just decide what you want to do. But anyways, we've got too far off track.
Go Birds! I hopefully everyone enjoyed my Eagle scheme tonight. I thought that thing was looking fresh. So, and I have to add this too. So I grew up in Pennsylvania near Pocono. So this is my home track, which is why I'm an Eagles fan, because most people know this already, but Pocono is only like 2 hours from Philly.
Yep.
I grew up in that area, a big Eagles fan, thought it was fitting to run a Eagles car, and that's going to be our car for the next couple weeks up until the Podium 500, which is Super Bowl, the day of the Super Bowl. So hopefully we win the Podium 500, and then the Eagles win the Super Bowl a couple hours later.
What a day that would be for you.
It would be a good day.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for joining us, Gary, and congrats again on the good run. Hopefully, I just hope it's a good game. I
hope both teams have fun.
I don't think it's going to be a good game. I'll be real honest.
All right. At least he's honest.
Good seeing you, Gary.
All right. Thanks, Gary. Appreciate it.
See you.
All right. That was Gary Sexton. He finished P6 tonight. Great run for him.
Apologies to non-football fans for our little aside there, but you know, it's still fresh on the minds.
If we want to get back on the topic of racing, though, Mike, I think we got something we want to talk about and plug here. If you want to talk about it a little bit.
For sure. We'll get back to it right after this message real quick.
FrontStretch.com, providing up-to-date news, analysis, and commentary on all the latest in the world of motorsports. Check out Front Stretch YouTube page for post-race content after the checkered flag waves for most NASCAR events, giving you up-close interviews with your favorite drivers and the stories that matter each weekend. For the best seat of the track and the best view on the web, visit FrontStretch.com.
Well, there you saw it. FrontStretch.com. Visit our site. We got a lot that we're doing, especially here as the racing season approaches. But now I believe we're going to talk about something we're doing on the site that I think is pretty cool. And I know Mike thinks is pretty cool too. What are we doing here, Mike?
Well, we want to, we'll preview next week in a second, but we just want to take a second to promote our NASCAR 75 greatest drivers list that we're doing. Started doing it last week and had the whole staff, a bunch of our writers contribute, and it's a solid list. Check it out. It's coming out every weekday. But what we got next week for the old Monday Night Racing, Brandon?
Well, we've mentioned it a few times. We got the Chicago in the Craftsman trucks. I almost said Camping World, but we're almost to a new season now, so it's Craftsman trucks. Yeah, it's gonna be easier to say now. Most people grew up with Craftsman, but yeah, I think it's gonna be an exciting race. It's gonna be a draft track. I think most people know that already. Corey can go in there and do whatever he wants, really. He's locked in. Like I said, and I've said it a couple of times now, I think Adam and Chase are in a good spot. They just got to be cautiously aggressive, I guess. They got to be mindful of, all those guys behind them, or at least Presley on back, because I think even if Joey if Joey beats Chase and then they win, or Adam, that'd be bad for them. But, they got to be mindful. They got to be cautiously aggressive, as I said. I think all top four, though, is going to be really strong in the points. And then you got Presley, who I think is going to be great. I think Vargas is going to be good. He's pretty far out, I think.
Vargas is 10 points out.
Okay, so that's doable. Yeah.
But then you go to Leighton Sibile and Matt Stallneck. They pretty much have to win.
Yeah. Leighton has won a super speedway this season. I believe he won Talladega.
So the last race before the cutoff. So
yeah.
Would we see another dramatic moment from him?
It would be something, I tell you. I'm looking forward to it. I know the drivers, they're probably going to be a little stressed, but I think most would say they're looking forward to it, especially, going to Homestead for the finale. It's going to be a fun race. We'll talk about that next week, but they got to get through next week first. I think it's going to be a fun race. I think everybody should tune in. But as for tonight, I think that'll do it. Thanks for joining us, guys, on the FrontStretch.com post-race show. As I said, check us out on FrontStretch.com. We got a bunch of stuff going on, as I talked about a little bit ago, and Mike talked about the 75 greatest NASCAR drivers list. Check that out. Every weekday we come out with a new set, or continuing on the list, as I should say. But anyway, I am Brandon Hoff. That is Michael Massey. Join us here next week, same time, or actually an hour earlier, I should say, probably. 7:45 Podium Esports. We'll see you guys next week. Take care.